It's now time for Ermanni and Edwards with Maz, live on the Woodward Sports Network. Every day, 2 to 4 p.m. Starring Ryan Ermanni, Michigan great and former NFL baller Braylon Edwards, and of course, Tom Mazaway. Let's talk some sports.
Good afternoon to all you wonderful people out there. This is Ermanni and Edwards with Maz. I, of course, am not Ryan Ermanni. I am Flannel Sam, but of course, as always, we have Braylon Edwards, and Maz, as you can see, is not here as well. And I'd be remiss to mention that it's Tuesday, February 21st, 2023, but it's not just any day. It is the great Braylon Edwards' 40th birthday. This man does not look a day over 30. He looks like he can still suit up in the NFL today. How does it feel on your birthday to be 40 years old, doing a show with me, of all people, Flannel Sam? It's literally an honor.
No, man, but it feels good. You know, 40 is a journey, like, to get here. And I'm not gonna give some story, but I didn't think I would make it. But you know, I didn't think I would be this content. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
This happy at the path I'm on, man. I work great family. Yeah, I've been through a lot. I've seen a lot of things. I've been a part of a lot of special situations.
Yes.
I've had failures that have led to successes. You know, so I'm excited. I'm ecstatic, and 40 down. 40 to go, man. I appreciate the people here at Woodward Sports. Like, this is a family like no other. You ask why I'm here on my birthday, because this is my family as well. I want to be here. And also, you see the balloons in the background, man. You see the 40 right there. A lot of love to Mr. Ryan Ermanni, who was responsible for these. Even though my brother's not with me on the show, still made his presence felt. So appreciate you, brother Maz. Love you as well. So let's talk some sports or talk some life, however you want to do it.
You know what? I'll tell you what, Braylon, because working with you for over a year, you become not Braylon Edwards, the NFL and Michigan star. You become my friend Braylon. But since it is your birthday, I will flatter you a little bit. When I was about 11 or 12 years old, you were actually my first favorite Michigan player. I watched you in the game against Ohio State in 2003, dominated, and again in 2004 against Michigan State. I was almost in tears when it looked like Michigan was going to lose to Michigan State. Then in comes a hero. Braylon Edwards played probably the best second half I've ever seen a college wide receiver play. Second half in overtime, just dominated that game, won that game by yourself, along with Chad Henne, of course, as a wide receiver, which is very, very difficult to do. So it's definitely an honor to be doing this with you, but at the same time, you're just my friend now, and it's great to get to know you on that stage as well, besides being the all-time great Michigan player.
Man, I appreciate that, man. You about to see all this red in my face, man. You saw this blushing going on. And I really appreciate that. No, you definitely are my friend. My mom taught me, when I was growing up, that football was a vehicle. Football was a vehicle to take you places in life, whether it was school, whether it was, to this profession or that profession, whether it was you engaging in this. It's just a vehicle. So she was like, don't let that be who you are. So I kind of never looked at, well, sometimes I was Braylon Edwards, but I never looked at it fully like this is who I am. I always saw myself as, same cat, born in Detroit, grew up literally right down the street on 8 Mile in Livernois. Like, I'm right in that area, Green Acres. Like, I grew up right there. So I went to King High School, Jesu, which is on 6 Mile, and Livernois as well. So I'm just a guy, man, just from the city. Just trying to be the best that I can be. You feel me?
You are just a guy, but at the same time to engage in more flattery. I know you're at this point
hey,
embarrassed at this point. You're all for it.
I'm a man. I'm 40. Yeah, I deserve it today,
baby. Shout out to Mike Gundy. Did you guys know? A lot of you guys should know this, but I think a lot of people, it's kind of slipped by. This man once caught 16 touchdown passes in an NFL season. I don't think you guys realize how difficult that is. Marvin Harrison's never done it. Larry Fitzgerald's never done it. Tony Gonzalez has never done it. But Braylon Edwards has. It is such an exclusive club, and not to mention was the #1 wide receiver on 2 Jets AFC Championship teams. So it just goes to you've lived a very interesting life, Braylon Edwards, and after all that, all those years with Michigan, the Cleveland Browns, the New York Jets, and even the Seattle Seahawks, San Francisco 49ers, what is the greatest life lesson you have learned in all of your 40 years on this earth?
Oh, man, there's been so many good ones. Keep good people around you.
Yes.
Keep good people around you, because this is life. You're gonna go through stuff in life. Nobody walks through unscathed.
Yes.
You're not gonna walk this earth unscathed. But when you got good people around you, you're allowed to get back up. You know the quote, fall down 8, fall down 7, get up 8. It's much easier to get off that canvas when you the 8th time when you got good people around you. So definitely, because they keep you from making bad decisions. They're there when you do make good decisions. Yeah. So it's great in that regard. Patience, like don't do things out of necessity. I think a lot of times we do things out of necessity, man, and they come back to bite you in the ass. So smile. Yeah. Like smile. I think the world we live in now, like everybody has his hate. Everybody wants to be negative. Everybody wants to be mean. It's blah, 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 blah. It's you. It's this. Man, smile. Like it's much easier life. When you smile, you make somebody else smile, make somebody else feel good. That's much easier life.
Absolutely. Those are great life lessons for a man who has lived a very, very interesting life, obviously NFL and college football star. JB, I'm kind of curious because you're a little bit younger than Braylon, but you're also older than people think. How old are you, JB, if you don't mind me asking?
You just called me out like that. Jeez. I don't even know if I want to say my age now. God.
It's all right. You look great for your age, man.
He said, tell him something with your old ass.
I'm 33, but yes, Braylon, everything that you said, keep good people around it because you definitely need that in life. You definitely need those people around you to help you up, to lift you up, and also to smile, as you just said as well, too. You got to have that with you. You need good people in your life, and I hope that, myself and everyone here at Woodward Sports are good people to you that you can see, because not only do I see you as a co-worker, but also as a friend, and I really appreciate you being the great Braylon Edwards, the star that you are, but also my good friend as well, too. I can say that.
I appreciate that, man. That's where I go for my parlays, man. I got to make sure it sound right when I'm about to put it in. I'm like, JB, how that parlay looking? Look, I think look like I'm going to win some money. Nah, but you're right. And also, too, it's like, don't do things for what could come back to you.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? I think a lot of times people do things and they're expecting something in return. They're doing something for that expectation. Just do things because you want to. If you don't want to do things, don't do it. Because when you do things that you don't want to do expecting something back and you don't get that something back, now you mad. Mm-hmm. Like, don't do that. If you're going to do something, do it because you want to.
Yes.
Do it because you want to.
You know what, Braylon, on your birthday, I got another question if you don't mind me asking.
Yeah, come on.
What was it like, say, 2004 at Michigan in Ann Arbor, just going to class being a guy on campus? Because there is no way, shape, or form that you weren't the biggest star on the entire on the entire campus, period. What was it? Did it feel that way to you, or would you feel kind of more like a normal student?
Hold on, by the way, it's Punchki Day too, so shout out to Adam Morrissey for bringing Punchkis in on Punchki Day, which is my birthday. It's a hell of a combo. It was the crazy thing about it is I didn't operate completely in Michigan, if that makes sense.
Sure.
Hey, when I was on campus, I was really tied into my world. Like, I'm from Detroit, so I lived down the street. Grew up down the street. Like, I had a tight-knit group of friends, the football team and a couple others. So, like, I kind of operated within going out with them, coming back down to Detroit, hanging out with family, being with the football team. Like, I didn't operate in all of University of Michigan. I wasn't walking all over the campus and doing like that. So, it didn't hit me into that Michigan State game. So, like, I walk into that season and, I'm like, cool. I know for football's sakes what I am, who I am, walking in #1 receiver in the country and probably got a good chance to get drafted in the first round. So, I know that. But I didn't know what I was to, like, the campus, to the institution. Yeah. So, we played that Michigan State game, and prior to that, I go to class. Mm-hmm. I just walk to class. You know what I'm saying? When I go to the Union, oh, hey, it's Braylon Edwards Wave. I walk to the Union, wait in Wendy's line, or blah, blah, blah. After that game, or I go get gas, or I go to the restaurant, or go to touchdowns. Anyway, but after that game, after that night, like, everything changed. When I would just go to class, it was like they were staring at something. Like, I'm waiting in line. Nah, there's no more waiting in line. Like, it's, things were good up there. No, things were good up there.
I love it because losing to Michigan State in 2004, that would have been that wasn't the Mark D'Antonio years during the down
John
years.
L. Smith.
Michigan was heavy favorites, and they went on to, in Michigan, you guys obviously went on to win the Big Ten, go to the Rose Bowl, and obviously you balled out in the Rose Bowl. The only reason you guys didn't win that is because Vince Young, obviously. He had a great Rose Bowl that season. And speaking of life lessons, we talk about Braylon's at being 40, JB in his early 30s. How about
40 is the new 20, by the way.
40 is the new 20,
That's what I heard.
by the way.
40 is the new 20.
And, hey, I believe it. Fletch, speaking of people who are in their early 20s, what is a life lesson that you can take from your young whippersnapper age as of now?
I don't know what to tell. Anyway, I mean, if there's anybody younger than 22 in here, like going into college, finish college if it's for you, because I didn't do that. And I don't know, have fun. Do what you want to do stuff that you love. I chased what I wanted to do. I'm here, and I love every day here. So,
yeah, you had quite a bit of a rise too. I mean, when I first started, you were doing one of our other shows in the back, and then you got kind of called up to be the TD for Ermanni and Edwards with Maz, and you've done obviously a great job so far. And I will go now as somebody who is in his early 30s as well, 31. There's a lot, and there are many moments when you're in your late teens and in your early 20s when everything seems like the end of the world when things don't go the way that you want. I mean, I came to this profession kind of later in life. I graduated college at the age of 26 in a field that I no longer was interested in. And then I made some life changes. I moved up here to Metro Detroit, went to Specs Howard, and now I'm here. So everything will eventually work out if you follow what you love. And that's something that with age comes wisdom, man, though. And I know you're learning that every single year. But it's true. It's a cliche. Youth is wasted on the young.
This is true. But, since we are a sports show, and since I am one of the hosts on here, you know what I would say? Always bet the over, baby.
Always bet the over.
Time to talk some sports.
Yeah, time to talk some sports, obviously. But before that, I have to tell you about Guardian Alarm, of course, because it's a new year. Let Guardian Alarm offer you customized solutions from real experts. Our professional technicians take the time to recommend security and automation solutions specific to your needs. You can call them at 1-800-STAY-OUT. 24/7 professional monitoring. Call us anytime, day or night, and know that a Guardian team member will stay on the phone as long as needed. Again, that is 1-800-STAY-OUT. Technology backed by people. Your safety and security deserve technology that's been proven to work and people who have been proven to care. Again, that is 1-800-STAY-OUT. Let them know Guardian Alarm.
The sports marketing agency would not be who we are without great community partners like Higuera Health and Carol Zaniga.
It's an awesome opportunity to partner with your organization. Higuera Health is a comprehensive behavioral health organization. We serve children through older adults with mental health, substance use, and developmental disabilities across Western Wayne counties, and really excited to now be in downriver communities as well. Give us a call at 734-458-4601.
3 NBA championships. Detroit fans were there. 11 Stanley Cups. Detroit fans were there. 4 World Series wins. Detroit fans were there. And that one Lions playoff win in 1991. Yeah, Detroit fans were there. Woodward Sports, where the fans are.
The Seafood Fest is back at Big Boy, and you need to catch it while you can. Some favorites during Lent right now are the shrimp Alfredo, the shrimp stir fry, and of course the new fish sandwich. Get to your local Big Boy today, but don't forget the all-you-can-eat fish fry buffet is on Friday night. So get down there and check them out at your local Big Boy today.
And we are back. This is Ermanni and Edwards with Maz. I am Flannel Sam. As always, it's Braylon Edwards. No Maz today, but we still, of course, have the great JB Smoove in the sound booth and Fletch on the ones and twos. So there's been a lot of sort of talk about what the Lions can and need to do in free agency, players that they can add. A certain Detroit Lion named Amon-Ra St. Brown, who we all know as one of the best players on the team as a second-year player, he looks like he's trying to recruit Jalen Ramsey to the Rams. We got the tweet up right now. First off, Braylon, is that something that you like to see Amon-Ra St. Brown do? Because obviously he's a guy who, as a young player, but has proven himself to already be one of the definitely top 15 wide receivers in the NFL.
Right.
I think top 10, and definitely their best skill position player. Is this something you like to see Amon-Ra St. Brown doing in public like this?
Yeah, recruiting players.
Yes,
You
yes.
want to see that. Here's a bigger thing to it. One, you want to see your players recruit players. You want to see that happen. The bigger thing is you're happy that he feels comfortable enough where the Detroit Lions are where he can recruit players. You talking about being 40. I've been here a very long time in Detroit. This is a tough place and has been a very tough place to recruit players since, you want to say, the end of the 90s, into the early 2000s. This was a tough place to recruit players because we sucked at every turn. At every turn we sucked. We couldn't get it down as the Detroit Lions, couldn't get to the playoffs, couldn't have consistency, didn't have stars, until you get Calvin and Matt Stafford and Ndamukong Suh. So the fact that now you have the confidence in yourself and your squad and your city and what the city is bringing, what everything is around it, that you want to go recruit, I love it. Because that means other people are like, all right, Detroit's out here recruiting. What's this Detroit pitch about?
That is an excellent point because Amon-Ra St. Brown wouldn't have been doing this the year before when they were 3-13-1. None of the other star players wouldn't have been doing it during the Matt Patricia days when they were terrible. Amon-Ra St. Brown feels comfortable doing this. He feels like he can actually get to a Jalen Ramsey and get him to be on this team because of what the Detroit Lions did last season. They won 9 games. They were almost a playoff team. They had a winning season, and they finished the season 8-2, which is down the stretch played some of the best football of any team in the NFL. So I obviously love to see it, and it's great to see that Amon-Ra St. Brown feels comfortable in his role as already one of the leaders of this team and this offense. JB, what say you? Is that something that you like to see out of one of your star players in Amon-Ra St. Brown?
Yeah, it shows his leadership right there, as Braylon was saying. Like, it shows that they appreciate and actually take into consideration what Amon-Ra is doing out here in trying to recruit all these players. As you know, Brad Holmes has a history with LA. Some might say that, LA kind of owes him one since, they got Matthew Stafford and got that chip as well too. So this might be an easy, trade bargain right here that Ramsey could just slide over to the Detroit Lions a little bit. So you never know, but I'm all for it.
But you got to also have fun with it too. Now I saw a lot of responses, a lot of comments about what Micah said. Yeah. It was all the heck. Now you got people going after Micah Parsons, etc. It's fun. See, the reason why you don't know the fun yet is because this basically bartering or recruiting players in the social media era, this kind of started with Odell Beckham. You're talking about 2017, 18, when he and Juice were trying to link up. They link up. And so now you've seen people going out and do this. In that span, Lions haven't been good. So the Lions haven't been a part of this space. So don't take it too serious with what Micah Parsons said. But if you want to be pissed at him when the Lions play it, I got that. Yes. But be relaxed, because there's going to start being some back and forth with players, and your players are going to be doing this too.
Yep, and these are the waters that the Detroit Lions can now confidently feel like they can swim in. And speaking of guys that can make them be more confident in a better team, how about Jalen Ramsey? We talked about Amon-Ra St. Brown sort of recruiting him to the team. Is Jalen Ramsey the type of player that, A, you want to see the Detroit Lions trade for, and two, or B, can they? Is that something that they can do?
You know what? I've been heavy on the Jalen Ramsey.
Yes.
Like bringing him to Detroit. I've been heavy. First, I start off with giving out the 18th pick. But, as I'm looking more, maybe it's not the 18th pick you give away. Maybe it's a package of a 3rd and a 4th. Maybe it's a package of a 2 and a 4, something like that. But I think there's definitely a route to getting Jalen Ramsey in. And I think bringing him in, I think there's a route for that in terms of players. The only thing is, what is the salary going to command? Like, once he brings him, what is the salary going to command? I think he's still in the space of DB1, and if you don't want to call him DB1A, if you want to fight over Patrick Surtain or you want to fight over Sauce Gardner, Detroit native, I'm fine with that as well, but he's still DB1 something. Whether it's 1C, whether it's 1D, he's still DB1, so he brings that talent, man. Like, he's going to bring that with him. He's going to be able to help you out, shut down a lot of wide receivers, and then also bring some knowledge, bring that dog, which the Lions have, but this is a dog with a ring. So I think I'm still there, man. Like, I'm still there, and I think there's a lot of really good defensive backs nowadays that are getting drafted, man, in that 3rd and 4th and 5th. I mean, look at your boy from the Houston Texans.
Stingley.
Yeah, look, not Stingley. The Baylor DB drafted in the 7th round.
Oh, okay.
I can't think of his name, but they drafted Derek Stingley, 4th overall. Derek Stingley has no production. Meanwhile, this 7th-round kid or 5th-round kid from Baylor, 125 tackles.
Oh, Petrie.
There we go.
Yeah, Petrie. Yeah.
5th-round draft pick from Baylor, 125 tackles, 18 pass breakups, and 5 interceptions. So it's not always that first round that you have to have tunnel vision on.
No, and that is true. And the thing with Jalen Ramsey that is super impressive to me is that Jalen Ramsey has already put together a Hall of Fame worthy career in just 7 seasons. 6-time Pro Bowler.
That's happening a lot lately, isn't it? Micah Parsons. I mean, well, that was a quick one. Aaron Donald. You look at the linebacker, Luke Kuechly.
Yes. Patrick Willis.
Yes. Like, it's happening a lot faster now.
Yes, but Jalen Ramsey, he's still got a lot left in the tank for all of what he's done. 6-time Pro Bowler, 3-time All-Pro. He is still relatively young, and he still has a lot left in the tank. And the thing about Jalen Ramsey, too, and I know a lot of people look a lot into this, and I think it's important when you've won at the highest level. That 2017 Jacksonville Jaguars team that he was on, they were led by their defense to the AFC Championship game, and they blew a 10-point lead, or else they would have gone to the Super Bowl. That Saxonville team.
And by the way, who were they playing?
They were playing the Patriots.
Exactly, and Tom Brady. So you're telling me, like, that's Tom that came back.
Yeah, and the Jaguars, they could have easily won that game. And even more impressively, the defense carried a team that was quarterbacked by Blake Bortles to an AFC Championship game
right there.
that they could have won. Right. Jalen Ramsey is already in the Hall of Fame because of that. And then look at 2021. The Los Angeles Rams won the Super Bowl with Jalen Ramsey being the second most important defensive player on that team. After
Lions found out about that up close and in person.
Absolutely.
Had to pick an end zone.
Absolutely. After, some guy by the name of Aaron Donald. So Jalen Ramsey has experience with winning. He's been a multiple-time All-Pro, multiple-time Pro Bowler, and the defensive back, the cornerback position is a position of need for the Detroit Lions. And actually when it comes to their salary cap and everything, there is absolutely a pathway for the Detroit Lions to trade for Jalen Ramsey. Right now they have about $16 million-ish in cap space, but they can create $10 million more by cutting Michael Brockers, which nobody in the world would have a problem with. His name, with all due respect, should have been changed to Healthy Scratch because that's basically all he was last year. And Vaitai. He's a guy who right, exactly. He didn't play at all last year, and he has a back injury. He's coming off of a back injury, and that's always dangerous when it comes to any football player, certainly offensive lineman. You can save $6.5 million. And what about Romeo Okwara? If you cut him, he's another guy who has been productive with the Lions in his career, but in the last 2 seasons he's played 9 games, coming off an Achilles, had a game with 2 sacks, but you can save $7 million. You
could take both the Core brothers, man.
Take
them both.
I wouldn't break my heart. So if you do that, that creates 23 additional extra $1 million in cap space. And if you want to trade for Jalen Ramsey at that point and take on his contract, solidify one half of the field on defense on a cornerback crew that really isn't like, you definitely don't want to have Jeff Okudah and Jerry Jacobs be your starting corners. And with rookies, if they're not named Sauce Gardner or Jalen Ramsey or Patrick Surtain, it's hard to sort of acclimate yourself to a position because it's so hard. With Jalen Ramsey, you've got a veteran. You have the leader and the best player on your defense right away from day one. Yeah. And adding a guy like Jalen,
he's not afraid. He's not afraid to let you know that he's the leader and he's going to bring that energy. I don't want to cut you off. I'm going to send some love to the fans of Woodward Sports.
Absolutely.
Got a message. Thanks, Mom, for screenshotting this. Jason Moose, man, appreciate the love, man. He sent $10 in a badge. And happy birthday, One Take Bray. Welcome to the 40 Club, my dude. Laugh out loud, I'll be 44. Next month, the Woodward Sports Network's fans love you. Appreciate you, Jason Moose. A lot of love.
Hey, why not? We have some of the best fans and chatters in the entire world. I wouldn't trade you guys for anything. So yeah, I think we're both in agreement that Jalen Ramsey, I wouldn't pound the table if the Lions didn't go after him, but he's certainly a player. He could make your defense possibly exponentially better just by adding him. I mean, towards the end of the year, the Lions defense obviously was improved, but overall, when you look at the totality of the season, it was a bad defense. And one of the reasons was because their secondary was so poor.
This is the cool thing about the space that the Detroit Lions are in, and by Brad Holmes and Sam, how kind of he's put them there, placed them there, kind of got them right from that standpoint in terms of the draft, in terms of certain player that he's gotten rid of, certain players he needs to get rid of, is one, if Brad Holmes chooses to do so with Jalen Ramsey, because the big thing with the Lions fans you've been burned before. Given, just paying guys buku money, they come get a check and then get up out of here and have no production. So you have every right to be burned. But by the same time, don't be scared, because now you're in a great place and you got some money and you got some picks and it looks like it's going this way and you don't want to bring in a cancer. Brad Holmes is a guy that knows Jalen Ramsey.
Yes.
Brad Holmes is a guy that knows Jalen Ramsey. He's been there with Jalen Ramsey. He understands how to do operations. If he brings in Jalen Ramsey, then obviously he knows something. He knows that there's a way to work around it, and this isn't going to mess up the locker room down there in Allen Park, a.k.a. Detroit as well. So if he makes a move like that, pump your brakes. Because remember what you said just a couple weeks ago, you trust Brad Holmes. So trust him.
I mean, that's the one thing that I think we all agree on as Lions fans, at least when it comes to the draft and overall, that we all trust Brad Holmes. He's done obviously a great job drafting and sort of making sure, Lions fans, I love that drop, and making sure that the salary cap situation, that Lions aren't in cap hell anymore. I think we all agree that Brad Holmes has done a great job. And if he decides that Jalen Ramsey is a guy that he wants to bring to this team, I think we should embrace it, because this is rare. Us Lions fans are not used to it. We have a GM who we trust.
He's competent.
Yes, absolutely competent. And when it comes to drafting, I would argue exemplary, at least so far. We've got a coach who I had some questions about in the beginning, but proved himself towards the end, tripled his win total from his first year. You have to give him a lot of credit. And the way that the Lions are built overall with rookies. These aren't like aging vets. These are guys that are only going to get better, at least you think, with the proper development. So, Jalen, and also, the one thing that the Lions, and I just kind of thought of this on the fly, the one thing that it seems like the Lions are missing too is you don't want to have your entire defense or an entire sections of unit be on a unit being just young guys. Right. Jalen Ramsey is not only one of the best corners in the league, still already a Hall of Famer, which is what he's done so far. He's a veteran who's been a huge piece on winning at the highest level, winning a Super Bowl, going to the AFC Championship game with the freaking Jaguars and Blake Bortles.
Blake Bortles.
That actually happened. Blake Bortles almost went to the Super Bowl.
Almost, but guess what? It did not happen, man. Jalen Ramsey's a dog, man. Like there's no way to sugarcoat it. He's a dog. He's a dog that Brad Holmes knows. Yep. So he's a guy he's familiar with. So if he's going to take a chance on a guy like that, I'm glad it's with a guy that he knows and that is familiar with. So we'll see what happens. But I think Jalen Ramsey would be a good move. You look at guys that win. You look at people that are winning championships. You have those players around that have been there before. You have those players around that are leaders as a dog, especially on the defensive side. You look at all those teams at the end, those last four, they got dogs on the defensive side
plural,
that have won or that have almost won. I mean, so you got to have some of those guys if you want to win.
Yes, I agree with you 100%. And speaking of the whole Amon-Ra St. Brown and his recruitment of Jalen Ramsey, there was another man who is sort of polarizing in this town who made some waves on Twitter, kind of taking some shots at the whole situation. And we're going to talk about it next. I know we got to it on Big D Energy earlier from 11 to 1, and I sort of became a bit of it was basically me against the whole chat. I would like to kind of clarify and talk this out with the great Braylon Edwards. I can't wait for this. But first, I have to tell you about Custom Health Centers. Get your customized approach to weight loss. Think of all the ways that weight loss affects your health, mentally, emotionally, spiritually, and physically. See, Custom Health Centers is blessed to have had over 20,000 success stories. It has been our honor to help many professional athletes lose weight and improve their health. People like Detroit Lion Eddie Murray and Detroit Piston Rick Mahorn. Start losing weight today. Call Dr. Jason and Custom Health at 844-789-8446. That's 844-789-THIN. Custom Health Centers.
Love Woodward Sports? Love wearing clothes? Then you should be wearing Woodward Sports clothes. Check out our full line of merch at woodwardsports.com. Just click on shop. We have all your favorite designs, like Dan Campbell kneecaps, Beverly Hills Golf, Woodward Golf, and of course, our own logoed out merchandise. Men, women, infants, kids, all love Woodward Sports. Impress your friends. Impress your boss. Impress your dog. Buy Woodward Sports merch today.
You don't have to go to the beach, man. You don't have to get your butt crack full of sand. You just need a little chili peppers, man, to get that glowing beach chili peppers tan. Woo!
With 26 locations in the Metro Detroit area and more coming, Chili Peppers Tanning is where you'll find the cleanest salons in the D. Join the Pepper Club for the best deals on unlimited tanning. Head to chilipepperstanning.com.
You just need a little chili peppers, man.
A ton of fun, a ton of sports, and a ton of man-meat. Welcome to the Woodward Heavyweights, live daily 5 to 7 p.m. on Woodward Sports.
And we are back live on the Woodward Sports Network. This is Ermanni and Edwards with Maz. I am Flannel Sam filling in for Ryan Ermanni. I've also got with me Braylon Edwards and no Maz today, but we do have JB Smooth in the sound booth and the great Fletch on the ones and twos. Before we move on, JB, I just want to get your take on the whole Jalen Ramsey coming to Detroit. Is that something that you would like to see happen, and do you think that the Lions can do it?
I mean, of course I would like to see it happen, adding that veteran, I guess you could say, presence to that locker room, helping out the rest of those guys, the incoming guys coming in, the rookies and everything like that. I think it would definitely help the team. I don't know how much they would have to give up for them. I know on heavyweights we were talking about this last night, and I'll take you guys back for a second, but Darius Slay, when the Lions traded him to the Eagles, they got in return a 3rd and a 5th round pick. So not to say that Ramsey could cost the same thing for the Lions, but I mean, it could be around in those range, maybe a 2nd and a 4th. Who knows? Because as you said, Flannel, it is Jalen Ramsey. He still has some tread left on those tires. He still has some valuable games to be played in his career, in his future of his career. So I don't know. I think it's really possible, but like I said, it could. You might have to hinder one of those 2nd rounds for him.
What could? That man still has a lot of dog left. I watched games last year. He still finished with the 3rd most efficiency last year. Saw the last game of the season. He got a pick. Called out the pick. Tell me, Detroit fans, hear me out. You get Jalen Ramsey, a guy who has been DB1 for the last 6 years. In the NFL, you could argue 7, maybe Patrick Peterson, maybe early they were battling back and forth, or Revis, whatever. He's been that good, and he's been a dog. Imagine coming to Ford Field, and you got a guy out there telling guys the whole week leading up to it, Justin Jefferson. You do remember he's still in your division. Imagine him telling Justin Jefferson, that's not working this year. That's not working this game. Nah, it's all good. We'll see what happens this Sunday. Imagine you have that. And then a guy that actually can back that up. Imagine telling, this defense is going to be number 1. We're going to be straight like that this year. But you also know he can back that up. You can't account. That is invaluable. I'm getting excited talking about it.
Yeah, and as a corner, we all know that it's one of the hardest positions to play. You have to have a lot of confidence in your abilities. I mean, you look at a guy like even a Richard Sherman and then Jalen Ramsey. Nobody talks more smack than Jalen Ramsey. But the thing about Jalen Ramsey is he always backs it up. He's been, like Braylon said, definitely a top 3 DB in the NFL since 2017. And at times, he's definitely been DB1. I mean, he's first team All-Pro 3 times, which means you're recognized as the best cornerback in the NFL. So there was another angle to this whole Amon-Ra St. Brown and Jalen Ramsey situation. Old Micah Parsons decided to let his opinion be known on Twitter. And what Micah Parsons said, for all you guys out there, you guys can read it too. I'm sorry, no one going from LA to Detroit. And one thing that I've learned during my time in Detroit, I'm not a native son, I'm more of an adopted son. Detroit does not like people talking about them. It doesn't matter what it is, it doesn't matter how significant or insignificant. Detroiters do not like that whatsoever. And so a lot of people that on Twitter and some of my co-hosts on Big D Energy, they were not happy with that. What say you, Braylon? Is that a big deal or no deal, or just kind of part of just recruiting and the new modern NFL?
There's two aspects. The aspect first is being from Detroit, as you see in the hat. We don't play that. Detroit has been a stepped-on city since early 1900s, and it stepped on us, what I'm saying? And people have taken shots at us as the years gone by, ever since the 60 fires and destroyed a lot of Detroit and burned up a lot of poverty. A lot of things have happened around Detroit. So there's been a lot of jazz, whether it's movies, songs, 8 Mile comes out, that didn't help. It's So Cold and the D comes out, that definitely didn't help. So it's been a lot of shots, so all we've had is each other. So if you're in Detroit, this tight in this city, we rock together. Anybody outside, y'all can kiss our ass. So, like, that's how Detroit is. Micah doesn't know that.
Micah doesn't know that.
Micah just thinks Detroit's a bad city as it relates to wins and losses. Yeah, I think he's wins and losses and whatever, but the fans in Detroit, they got after him a little bit. I think, yeah, look, he's trying to sell his pitch too. Now, he's like, ain't nobody trying to go to Detroit. He wants Jalen Ramsey to come there. Like, he wants Jalen Ramsey to go on the other side or just cracking jokes. So it's jokes. It's all in fun. But Detroiters, they don't play about Detroit.
They definitely don't.
Oh, we don't play about Detroit.
You know what? We definitely don't. I consider myself we now because I am what I would call myself an adopted son. But
yeah, they beat you up too. You part of Detroit now. You can be. If we jumped into a fight, you get into the fight.
Absolutely. But in the aspect of it that I thought was interesting is that Micah Parsons is a guy who has sort of been hotly debated on this show in particular about the usual guy. Tom Mazaway thinks that even to this day, even with the success that Penei Sewell has had, that Micah Parsons should have been the pick. And in some ways, I don't blame him because Micah Parsons has turned into a top 3 edge rusher in the NFL, definitely top 5, arguably top 3, maybe even second to like a Nick Bosa. He's been phenomenal, but so has Penei Sewell. Penei Sewell has obviously been one of the better young tackles in the NFL, and I think that he's going to end up being a good pick. But earlier today, I made quite a few waves on Big D Energy from 11 to 1 because they showed on the show a meme, and I don't know if we have it, but if we don't, I'll just explain it, that basically joked that, and I know it's a joke, I know it's a meme, that Penei Sewell was Micah Parsons' father, and that Penei Sewell just absolutely neutralized and just held in check Micah Parsons for the whole game. And remember, the Dallas Cowboys and the Detroit Lions actually met this season. And how did that go for the Lions? They lost 24-6, and Micah
Who won the game?
The Dallas Cowboys won the game.
No, what player won the game?
It was Micah Parsons.
Thank
he had
you.
2 sacks and a forced fumble.
Thank you. If he doesn't chase down Brock Wright, I think it was Brock Wright or Zylstra. If he doesn't chase down Brock Wright, poke the ball out at the 1 yard line, he scores a touchdown. Jamal Williams never gets a chance to fumble.
Yeah.
Like let's call it. Like we got to stop with this, man. We got to stop with the conversation of Micah and Penei and Detroit getting mad. Look, Micah Parsons is a better player. Like that's not up for debate. He's all pro last year. He's all pro this year. He's on track to the Hall of Fame. Like Penei Sewell didn't make the Pro Bowl last time I checked, or the year before that. I said last year Penei Sewell led the league in holdings and led the league in penalties by a right tackle. Like he's having an amazing first 2 years as it relates to, all right, we could have had Micah, but we got you. But what he's done is allowed us to forget about it. Micah's a better player. There's nothing wrong with that. But Penei is a damn good player and will have the opportunity to win the Hall of Fame jacket. Stop worrying about Micah Parsons. Just worry about Penei Sewell.
And that's kind of what I was saying because people sort of took that as sort of, oh, you're anti-Penei Sewell. Oh, you're defending Micah Parsons. And I even got people in the chat with the unmitigated gall to say that Micah Parsons is trash and just building off of that meme that Penei Sewell is Micah Parsons' father. I know those are kind of joking, but it made no sense. It's as if Lions fans just can't help themselves but overcorrect. I mean, Penei Sewell, here's how Lions fans should look at this. And I know people aren't going to like me telling people what they should and should not do, but I'm going to do that right now.
Okay, go for it.
Obviously, Lions fans should be happy with Penei Sewell. Penei Sewell is a great player. He was a great pick. And as a Lions fan myself, I'm happy that the Lions have him, and there should be no regrets whatsoever. But Micah Parsons is one of the best edge rushers in the NFL already. He's on sort of a, as Tom Mazaway would say, a Lawrence Taylor type trajectory. And it's not crazy to say that. He's been that good in his first 2 seasons. So if I'm a Lions fan, be happy with what you have. And also just kind of forget about Micah Parsons. He's never coming here, but he's also not somebody who you should just take shots at. But to be fair, Micah Parsons, if I were him, I wouldn't have sent that tweet. It's just because he doesn't know any better. And obviously Detroit, we've dealt with a lot of losing and a lot of sort of negative publicity about the city. And we see that the Lions are obviously a lot better. They had a winning season last year. They have a better culture. And the city is thriving in a lot of ways. And you see it on Sundays when you go downtown. I was there for a lot of games. So just let it go more. I just think Detroit as a whole can kind of get a little bit insecure over nothing. Be happy with Penei Sewell, but Micah Parsons is not trash in any way, shape, or form. And Penei Sewell is not better than him and is not his father.
Yeah, what is it, Star Wars? Luke, I'm your...
Yes.
No, this ain't what that is. Like, at the end of the day, it's fun. Nobody else is talking about this comment and anywhere else in the 50 United States of America except here. So he said it's a big deal. It's a joke for him. Detroiters, look, I get it. You know what it is? We're so used to being the losing team.
Yeah.
So used to being the losing team, the home team that loses in whatever genre it is. Relax. You're winning now. You finished 9-8 last year. We're on the right track. Don't worry about stuff like that anymore.
Yep. And if I can reiterate it one more time, got a damn good player in Penei Sewell who has absolutely helped with winning. It's just, I don't like overcorrection and kind of saying what actually isn't true. I mean, in that game, we talked about it, Micah Parsons, in the game in which the Cowboys beat the Lions 24-6, had 2 sacks and a forced fumble. There was somebody at this network, and I wish he was here to defend himself, who is Exhibit A. Our very own Stick. He wrote this article about the whole situation, about Penei Sewell and Micah Parsons' tweet and saying that it was a dumb thing to do. And when he mentioned Penei Sewell, his words were, with Penei Sewell, they've got a Hall of Fame tackle on a Super Bowl contender. And honestly, I don't even disagree with that. I think that at his height, at their peak,
why
that
are
could
they a
absolutely...
Super Bowl contender? Because of Micah Parsons.
Super Bowl, like that's the thing. Penei Sewell is obviously a great player, and I think he could be a gold jacket lineman. Yeah. But he also said that if the Lions would have taken Micah Parsons, that he would have been a nice player on a bad defense. And that's why I get so fired up about it, because that is absolute lunacy. A nice player on a bad defense was 2021 Charles Harris.
Oh.
Is that what you're saying that Micah Parsons would have been? That is lunacy on its highest level. And the reason why I get so fired up about silly memes and Lions fans are because that's the type of stuff that I have to deal with you cannot say anything about my guy or my city on any way, shape, or form, even if it is absolutely irrelevant. That's what gets me, man.
The one thing about that offense versus defense is, if you're, let's say you get drafted, let's say you're a really good talent as a first-round draft pick and you're on a bad team. When you're on offense, it's hard to prove that you are a good player on a bad team. If you're a really good running back and you have no offensive line, you're in trouble.
Yeah.
Unless you're Barry Sanders. Like, if you're a quarterback on a bad line, you're in trouble, as David Carr. Why his career was so short as a starting quarterback in this league. If you're a wide receiver and you don't have anybody to throw you the ball, you can't prove how good you are. Defense is different. Mm-hmm. Like, defense, you can be on a bad defense and be a great player and still get to the quarterback. It's a little harder because you'll see more double teams. You can still get to the quarterback if you're a damn good outside linebacker or edge rusher. If you're a DB that's good, Jalen Ramsey, last time I checked, Jacksonville Jaguars, they were not good his rookie year, but he still was a dog. So even though I kind of see where Stick is going, he's wrong, because the defensive side, when you're good, when you're damn good, when you're that good, you'll see it on defense. Offense, it's a little harder, but defense, you'll be able to see if a guy can get to the quarterback, if a guy can be a Mike linebacker and control the defense, if a guy can shut down players one-on-one, or does he need overtop safety help? So, yeah. Defense is easier to prove it.
Yeah, and I want to respond to this in the Woodward Sports chat. I think it's Zaka. He said, or he or she said that Stick is right. And for the record, I actually don't even disagree with his analysis of Penei Sewell, that he could be a Hall of Fame offensive lineman that helped sort of solidify what was already a good offensive line and turn into a great offensive line on a contending team. I don't disagree with that. But to say that if the Lions would have drafted Micah Parsons, he would have been a nice player on a bad defense. See, just quit while you're ahead, man. That's Micah Parsons is elite. He's getting Lawrence Taylor comparisons at the beginning of his career, and it's not that crazy because he's had 26.5 sacks in 2 seasons. That's elite. Just end it with the Penei Sewell is great stuff.
There have only been 4 rookie players since. There have only been 3 players since Lawrence Taylor to finish second in defensive player of the year as a rookie.
Yep.
Only been 3. Micah Parsons was one of them.
Yeah.
Like Micah Parsons was one of them. You're not just that good. You got to pay attention to the numbers. You got to pay attention to the stats. 3 players since Lawrence Taylor retired in 1991, and Micah Parsons is one of them. He would have been a damn good player that was going to the Hall of Fame, whether it was on the Lions or whoever. He could have been on the Houston Texans defense, and he still was going to Hall of Fame.
I mean, the bottom line is special, and Micah Parsons is special, and I also believe Penei Sewell is special for the records, just so we are very, very clear.
Get him, Sam.
Yes, when we come back, we're going to talk some more NFL and a little bit of Lions, of course, but before that, I have to talk to you about Fairway Packing Company, because looking for a way to elevate dinner, choose Fairway Packing Company, family-owned and operated since 1956. Try their Burrata Blend Burgers, award-winning Chop House steaks, or impress your friends with a dry-aged Wagyu tomahawk steak. See why the top chefs in the country choose Fairway. Visit their steak shop in Grosse Pointe Woods or order online to ship anywhere. Visit fairwaypacking.com for more details. Fairway Packing Company, sourced, cut, aged, packed to perfection.
Saturdays at 1 p.m. Make sure you're watching WoodwardSports.com for our new show, Chompin' Puck.
He shoots! He scores!
With 4-time Stanley Cup champion Darren McCarty and Michael Gentry, Chompin' Puck is taking the Detroit hockey community and giving them a voice. Pros to Joes. You'll get the best Detroit hockey coverage around. Chompin' Puck. Saturdays 1 p.m. on WoodwardSports.com.
Introducing the Planet Fitness Guide to getting that post-workout glow. Step 1. What's your why? More epic energy? Better sleep? Blow off steam? Step 2. Join Planet Fitness for just $10 a month and get moving in our clean and spacious clubs. Step 3. Bask in that post-workout glow. Join Planet Fitness today for just $10 a month.
Join today at any of the 50-plus Detroit area locations.
Have an opinion? Make sure it's seen and heard.
Corner, jumper,
Tweet us, hop on the YouTube chat, slide in the DMS at Woodward Sports on all social media.
Time to talk about Swiss Insurance Group, and their employees are heavily involved in the community. It's very rewarding, but it comes at a great responsibility. If you sit on a local youth sports board, homeowners association, or you volunteer as a coach, directors and officers insurance is a must. Make sure the kids, the parents, and the family are connected and protected. Swiss Insurance Group.
Welcome back to Ermanni and Edwards with Maz. I am Flannel Sam, filling in for Ryan Ermanni. This is the great Braylon Edwards. Maz is not here today, but he's here with us in spirit. Yes, on your 40th birthday, Braylon. We've got JB Smooth in the sound booth doing a great job as always. And of course, we have Fletch doing his thing on the ones and twos. Before we move on, I'm kind of curious, JB. I don't want to put you on the spot, but
put him on the spot.
But am I way off base with everything that I was saying, or am I actually being fair and just people don't want to hear it?
No, I think you're being fair. You're entitled to your opinion. Let's make that known as well first. You're being fair, but like, as you said, nothing is wrong with Stick's comment. I think as far with Stick's article, I should say, nothing is wrong with the way Micah Parsons is as a player. His comments, however, of course, we're going to take offense to that. And I say we as in the city of Detroit, the Detroiters, because Braylon, as you mentioned, this only affects us. We're the only ones talking about this here.
Mad.
We're the only ones mad here because we've been here. We can talk bad about our city. You cannot. You're not from here. You're in Dallas right now enjoying the company of Jerry Jones and everything like that. We have been here through the hardships, seeing these teams grow and the growing pains that we've had to go through, the countless number of losses that we've had to see and watch on TV and in person. We can talk bad about that, not you.
You know what's interesting, JB and Sam, as you was talking, JB, I was thinking probably the big thing about it, why Detroiters are so upset today, and it's not even Detroiters, I think, it's Detroit Lions fans who happen to be Detroiters, I guess. But it's the Lions fans because Lions don't have players that talk, stuff. They don't have players that talk mess. You don't see Aiden Hutchinson talking about, or he does his dance, but I love it. But you don't see Aiden. You see he gets interviewed. It's all positive. It's all team stuff. Like they don't talk about the other team. So I think for Lions fans, they see that. So when they watch their team do it the way that most of them believe they should do it anyway, is they should just talk about each other and just, always be up and blah, 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 and not talk as much or not brag as much or talk stuff as much. So the fact that the Lions don't do it, the Lions fans are like, when they see somebody else do it to the Lions, they really like, oh, hell nah. Like, so I think that's a big part of it too. You don't have guys like Jalen Ramsey or Micah Parsons that are, KD, that are not afraid to speak their mind on Twitter, on social platforms, on Instagram, on whatever. So I think that's another part of it too.
And I understand that. It seemed kind of random for Micah Parsons to be talking like that about the Lions. But to be fair, Amon-Ra St. Brown was recruiting Jalen Ramsey to the Lions. And like you said, Braylon, maybe Micah Parsons just wants Jalen Ramsey on the Cowboys because obviously, Jalen Ramsey on the Cowboys. I don't know how plausible that is, but I would consider.
You look at what Philly did. Philly said, "Hey, look, all superstars come to our team this year, and we'll make it work."
If Jalen Ramsey is on the Cowboys defense, I would consider them, even the Dallas Cowboys, a Super Bowl contender. But
quarterback.
Yes, well, might have to have those conversations now after that playoff performance.
Who is their quarterback again?
Oh, man, not good enough.
Rain Dakota Prescott.
Rain Dakota. Okay.
Rain Dakota.
First of all, I never trust a black man named Dakota. That's all I'm saying.
Rain on me.
I'm joking.
Rain. Okay. All right. Anywho, it's that karaoke session. We are going to talk about the Detroit Lions, of course. And with the Lions being talked about, there's also there's some expectations on this team that Lions fans are not used to, but I think that the Lions have earned with a winning season. ESPN ranks the Lions 12th for the 2023 season and says that their biggest need is defense. And Braylon, I know that you're less blindly optimistic than a lot of us here. I mean, like the man that usually sits in for me, Ryan Ermanni, he talks really reckless, but hey, his prophecy.
He was close.
That's the thing. His prophecy was closer than a lot of people's.
All is if I'm being honest, I know this is a quick pivot. Ryan says a lot of goofy stuff. Like, I love him. That's my brother. Ryan, I'm sorry. I know the balloons. I'm sorry. Ryan says a lot of goofy stuff. But most of it comes true. And obviously the Malik Willis one is the one that will kill him forever. And people will always bring that up, like Adam Beydoun, which I understand. But Ryan said 2 years ago that Michigan was going to win 11 games. They said they were going to lose to Michigan State. He said they were going to win the Big Ten. They were going to go to playoffs. That's exactly what happened. He then said Aiden Hutchinson was going to go to the Heisman and said he was going to have more votes than K9. K9 didn't make the Heisman. Yeah. So he was right about that. Last year he said Michigan was going to go all the way and win the national championship. Now, he was wrong, but once again, we were 2 games away. No, he said we're going 12-0.
Okay, 12-0.
He said Michigan will go 12-0 and get back to the playoffs. So, I mean, he says a lot. He said 10 games last year for the Detroit Lions. They won 9.
He said 10, and he said that the Green Bay Packers were a 7-win football team, and they probably should have been. They were an 8-win football team. So I guess my point is that Lions fans, I think we have to get comfortable with expectations. And like I said, they're ranked. ESPN ranks them in this article 12th, but also says that the Detroit Lions need defense. And before I let you go, Braylon, I just came up with this or researched this crazy stat. So the Lions were 5th in the NFL in scoring offense last year. They were the only team in the top 11 in scoring not to make the playoffs. So when it's said that the Lions need defense, it seems obvious. So if the Lions can sort of upgrade this defense through either the draft or free agency or both, what are how high can the Lions actually go?
The Lions can get up there, man. I mean, obviously, every season is season to season. You don't know how other teams are going to reload and set up and, gravitate and pull pieces to them. But the Lions have a damn good chance. I mean, you look at we finished 5, but they were number 1 the first 8 weeks of the season. They couldn't score. They couldn't stop anybody. Like, they were number 1 the first 8 weeks of the season in scoring offense, but they were 1-6, 1-7 because they couldn't stop anybody. Now, the defense did play much better towards the end of the season, some of that being the opponents they played. But you look at those teams that are there at the end. You look at the teams that got put out of the playoffs. I mean, look at the teams that we're talking about in the Super Bowl. Chris Jones and Frank Clark were unstoppable in the playoffs. Absolutely. Look, the other side of the ball, they were supposed to have the best defense since the 85 Bears. I mean, you look at the 49ers, who they weren't in the Super Bowl because of a quarterback situation or potential quarterback error. The Buffalo Bills, they had a really good defense, but they had a lot of players missing, whatever. Sure. But you got to have defense because you know why? This season, who are you playing this year? Oh, you're playing the AFC West.
Yeah.
What do they have out there?
Quarterbacks.
They have offense. They have head coaches that get it. Sean Payton's now in the AFC West as well. So with that being said, you got to have defense to make it to the dance and to stay in the dance. You may sneak to the championship, or you may sneak in the playoffs, first round, the Miami Dolphins, Seahawks. You might sneak in there, but you need defense to stay in there.
Of course, and I'm not saying that they should leave their offense alone and not try to make it better, but you look at them, Jared Goff's going to be back. They're going to have their offensive line, Amon-Ra St. Brown, even Jamal Williams, they're looking at re-signing him, and even a DeAndre Swift. I don't think we think, well, let me finish on DeAndre Swift, because obviously I've been fooled many times. But
I'm not going for it this
year.
year.
While he is still signed, I think he can be a valuable contributor, and maybe they let him go after this year, because he still had 5.5 yards per carry on only 99 carries, which isn't nearly enough, and scored 8 touchdowns. But
trade him.
You know what? I wouldn't hate it.
Give me a 4th-round pick. Trade him.
I wouldn't hate it, but still, he can be a valuable but limited piece on this team.
Fool me once.
Hey, you know, I went real reckless before last season.
Once.
I predicted him to lead the NFC in rushing before last season, and I was very, very wrong.
You in the booth, though, I was like, oh, my God.
Yeah.
It was – I mean, you're right, though. Maybe you limit his role. But if you're going to have a limited DeAndre Swift, and then, what are you going to play Jamal the other time? He had a really good year.
He did.
But I'm just scary. I want to go after one of these running backs in the draft. I like Tajay Spears, man.
I wouldn't mind that at all. But when it comes to Jamal Williams, no matter what, this can't be taken away from him. He now has a record in Detroit Lions lore that used to be held by Barry Sanders. It was a little bit fraudulent. He was a little bit of the goal line touchdown merchant. I'll give you that, but it's still crazy.
I don't know how I feel about that. Like, let me come to you, JB.
Yes.
On this one. So growing up, like Barry Sanders, like my top 3 favorite football players of all time: Barry Sanders, Jerry Rice, and Randy Moss. Jerry Rice is the best football player of all time, and when I have time, I'll break down his stats and let you know why that is the case. 2, Randy Moss, my favorite receiver of all time, and then Barry Sanders is just, I grew up here. Growing up in Detroit, all we had was Barry Sanders. All we had was Barry Sanders and the Red Wings. Like, yeah, I mean, like the Detroit Pistons, the bad boys, yes. But, like, when we started getting to, I was middle school or I was a little older in high school, it wasn't the bad boys. They weren't doing that anymore. So we had Barry Sanders, and you knew it was going to happen. Every year, 1,500 yards. The rest of his team was going to let him down. And then you had the Red Wings. They were going to win championships. So that was the guy. You want to talk about being Detroit only and the hell with everybody else. This goes back to Dallas. I hated Emmitt Smith. Because he had all those linemen. And Barry had nothing. And then they tried to say Emmitt was the best running back of all time because he had the records. I said, numbers don't mean anything. Ask Kareem and Michael Jordan about that. So I've always defended Barry. But he was the standard. He's the record. So when I think Barry Sanders and the record, like even though it was 16, I think it was 16 and then Jamal had 17, finished with 18. But 16, it seems like a more mythical number because it's Barry. So you think Barry and, 10 straight seasons with 1,000 yards or more, only person to ever do that except Curtis Martin. You think that the record can never be broken. So it's broken and it's like, who broke it? Jamal Williams?
Doesn't make sense. He was an RB2 for his entire career.
Like if Ezekiel Elliott break the record, it's like, all right, Zeke broke the record. Or if you got a running back like of that stature, Saquon Barkley or one of these kind of guys.
But Jamal Williams?
Jamal Williams,
you're kind of like, you're wondering, like, do you really want to see this record broken by Jamal? Like, I know we love him here in Detroit, but still at the same time, it's like, as you said, Barry was that standard. Barry was the top. And just to see, like, Jamal Williams?
Like, Wilt Chamberlain's, like, 100. Like, what if, like, Joel Embiid broke Wilt Chamberlain's 100? You'd be like, Joel? I mean...
Does it count?
He's really good, man. It's Joel, but damn, he broke Wilt's record? Like, nah.
I mean, to be fair, though, 100 points in an NBA game, I think, is a much more exponentially more unbreakable record than 16.
Broke it.
I mean, he was the closest, but he was 19 points short, which that is amazing in and of itself. But
he had 61, and they took him out the third, and 2 games later.
Hey, he was that stretch for Kobe when he didn't have any help on off, like had like no teammates. He was putting up some numbers, man. He was putting up 35 a game for a whole season. But yeah, like they said, the offense, I think that the Lions can have an offense which is similar to last season's, especially bringing back Ben Johnson, even maybe hopefully making Jamison Williams a bigger part of this offense. And when you look at the totality of the season, the Lions were 5th in scoring offense and bottom 5 in scoring defense. And that, when you look at the totality, not that stretch that they had, that is why they weren't a playoff team. So obviously solidifying the defense, there's really no limit to how high they can go depending on how well they draft and how well they do in free agency. But if the Lions bottom out next year and have a terrible season and people are not feeling very well, Braylon, tell them who they can call.
You know what? It's okay to not be okay, but when you're not okay, where do you go? You go to thesportsma.com. They provide information about substance abuse disorder as well as mental health. We're here to destigmatize mental health and show it's okay to come out the corner and say what's wrong because we're here for you. Go to thesportsma.com.
By now you know me, Christina Gennari, as the obvious choice in real estate. And you know my website, soldchristina.com, as your #1 resource for buying or selling your home. Myself, along with my amazing staff, pride ourselves on making your home buying and selling experience a relaxing and easy one. Come see why we are the obvious choice. Christina Gennari at soldchristina.com, the obvious choice in real estate.
When it comes to making your haircut truly an experience, there's no better place than Lady Jane's Haircuts for Men. Come to any one of our 26 Metro Detroit locations for an award-winning haircut experience and qualify for a chance to win a down payment for your dream home up to $200,000. Our precision haircut and talented stylists will have you looking good, feeling good, and give you a chance to change your life forever. Lady Jane's Haircuts for Men, open 7 days a week. Walk in anytime. It's wicked awesome.
The only sports network in Detroit that starts with a W. You know, because we win. Woodward Sports, Detroit's winning sports network.
Cousins Maine Lobster is up for Food Truck of the Year, so go and make sure to vote for them at freep.com. Once again, that is freep.com for Best of Detroit, and follow them on Facebook at facebook.com/CML Detroit for your chance to win a $300 Visa gift card if they win. Also, make sure you try Cousins Maine Lobster today or scan that QR code to the left of my head next time and check out Cousins Maine Lobster for your dinner tonight.
Welcome back to Ermanni and Edwards with Maz. We are going into hour 2. We had a great hour 1, but now, and of course we got JB Smooth. I would be remiss to forget to mention him, and of course Fletch in the TD booth doing a great job as always. And right now, 'tis the season. This is a season that for many years, that's all really Lions fans have had, because they've dealt with some of the worst losing of any franchise in all of American sports, and that's just facts. And this is, of course, mock draft season. And the 33rd, we talked a little bit about it yesterday, but I wanted to get Braylon Edwards' view on it. They came out with a mock draft, in which the Lions were picking number 6, and they traded. Let's look at the top 5 first, because there's a name at number 2 that I think that you're going to lose your mind over, and I'm going to lose my mind too.
Who is paying Todd McShay to keep on the 33rd, or Mel Kiper Jr. to keep posting Will Levis this high? Who is paying this man? I feel like I'm watching Friday Night Lights when Booby's going to get that MRI, and he's like, "Who's paying you, man? Like, this is nuts." Man hasn't done anything.
No, Will Levis, I agree with you 100%, Braylon, that Will Levis is one of the most fraudulent media creation wannabe. So, like, they're trying to recreate Josh Allen, but Will Levis had almost no production in college, and at some point you actually have to produce. But there's a name out of that top 5
it's ludicrous
that is missing that might be a little bit of a surprise, and that, of course, is former Ohio State quarterback C.J. Stroud. This mock draft has C.J. Stroud falling to 6, but the Lions not taking him, but trading back to number 11 and getting cornerback from Oregon, Christian Gonzalez, at number 11. First of all, I'm going to ask you this. If C.J. Stroud, who I personally believe is the second best quarterback prospect in the draft, one of the only ones that I think is actually viable, but I'll let you get to that.
Okay.
If C.J. Stroud is available at number 6, how would you feel about the Lions taking him? Would you be okay with it? Would you lose your mind, or would you kind of be like, meh?
That's a good question. Here's the answer, Sam.
Yeah.
I can't just say 2 seconds ago that I trust Brad Holmes, and then when this happens, me getting mad. But at the same time, I would I would say he better really know what he's doing, because my gut would tell me to take C.J. Stroud, as opposed to trading backwards to go get Christian Gonzalez. I understand what he did at Baylor as well as Oregon. I understand he's big. I understand he's going to run well at the combine, great reflexes and all that. You guys haven't drafted a quarterback in a very long time. Last time you did was Matt Stafford. He's no longer here. Yeah, we know Jared Goff, and this isn't about making Jared Goff feel some type of way. Mm-hmm. This isn't about, we're going to make Jared Goff feel like we don't like him or we don't love him or we don't support him or we're not loyal. There's the word. We're not loyal to him for what he's done. Jared Goff is doing a tremendous job with Ben Johnson. But the fact remains, you're building something for an ultimate goal. And that ultimate goal is a Super Bowl. And now you have an opportunity to have C.J. Stroud, who I'll get into now. I wasn't sold on C.J. Stroud. When I looked at it, I didn't think he could win the big game. Like, I would see it, I was like, he lost to Oregon with no Kayvon Thibodeau. He lost to Michigan in Ann Arbor. Then he had a Rose Bowl, which was amazing, but it was against Utah, and which a lot of their players didn't play either. Then you lose again to Michigan in 2 years. So now you lost to Michigan twice. But I go back and I'm like, each game he had 300 plus. Like, one game he had 2 touchdowns. The other, both games he had 2 touchdowns. I'm like, all right, he still had stats, but he didn't get it done in the end. And then you see the Georgia game. And then I saw the Georgia game and I said, there might be something more here to C.J. Stroud. And maybe I'm so turned off, one, because of Ohio State, and then 2, it's because we've seen what Ohio State has been. Although I think Justin Fields is different than the other Ohio State quarterback.
He's way better than the rest of them.
Exactly. But the Dwayne Haskins, rest in peace, J.T. Barrett's, the Braxton Millers, like, I'm looking more like that. I think C.J. Stroud, I think there's a lot more there, and there's a reason he's been so efficient over the years outside of playing with the best receivers every year. But that's what you're going to have in the NFL. I mean, Jamison Williams. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? You expect Amon-Ra St. Brown. You tell me that he's a top 10 wideout. Like, you keep telling me that. Well, that means you're going to have a top 10 quarterback. So, a top quarterback is here we come with the Jared Goff hate. But I think Jared Goff can help him get groomed, much like Alex Smith did to Patrick Mahomes. And I'm not saying he's Patrick Mahomes, but I'm saying Alex Smith that 1 year had a really good year. They got to the second, I think they got to the AFC Championship or the second round of the playoffs. But Andy Reid and Alex Smith, they worked and taught Patrick that year, and then he takes over. I think that could be a similar situation here with Jared Goff and C.J. Stroud. I would go C.J. Stroud, but once again, I wouldn't say anything out loud. I would be assessing the situation, but I would go with C.J. Stroud.
Yeah, CJ, I wouldn't consider myself somebody who is dying for the Lions to get a quarterback in this upcoming draft, but Bryce Young and CJ Stroud are sort of the only two that I would consider if they fall to 6, because I think that could be a steal. You could, with either one of them, you could be getting the best quarterback in the draft at 6. Certainly the only highly ranked first-round grade quarterbacks who actually had production in college, actually won a Heisman and made Heisman final ceremonies like CJ Stroud did. Yeah, absolutely. And CJ Stroud, there's a lot of evidence that shows that he is a little bit of a product of the Ohio State system, because the amount of wide receivers that he worked with in his 2 years. You got Marvin Harrison Jr., Emeka Egbuka, Garrett Wilson, Olave, Jackson Smith and Jigba, just some of the best college wide receivers of the past 2 years. Yeah. Unbelievable. And obviously Ryan Day, say what you want about Ryan Day, but under Ryan Day, Justin Fields thrived and CJ Stroud thrived. I think he's a guy that...
Trevor Lawrence. He played with some monsters at Clemson.
Yep.
And he played with some monsters. Deshaun Watson. In that period, Ohio State wasn't wide receiver U until the last 4 or 5 years. It was who? It was Clemson.
Yes.
It was Clemson. Or you could even say with, here's another one, Joe Burrow. This is just devil's advocate.
Joe Burrow.
Look who the hell was his wide receivers. He's got Jamar Chase on one side. He's got Justin Jefferson.
Unbelievable.
He's got Randy Moss' son at tight end and Clyde Edwards-Helaire. Yeah. So sometimes when you play with like just studs and bona fide players, sometimes you can get a Matt Leinart, who's like, he's a product of Mike Williams and Dwayne Jarrett. But sometimes it don't matter who's playing wide receiver; those quarterbacks are that good.
And I think you would agree with me that our skepticism of C.J. Stroud went to the umpteenth degree after that game that he had at Columbus this year, where he only led that high-powered offense to 23 points, including a grand total of 3 in the second half. The first one the year before at Michigan, he was getting harassed in a way that I've barely ever seen quarterbacks get harassed by Aiden Hutchinson and David Ojabo. They were in his grill.
318 and 2 tuds.
And he led the team to 27 points. He played well. He played well as he possibly could. But we were all the knock on CJ Stroud is a big game. The two games against Michigan, he didn't play his best, and I would argue in the one at Columbus this past year, CJ Stroud just wasn't good enough. But in that game against Georgia, against that team that you would later see them win 65-7 in the national championship game,
to the team Michigan lost to.
Yeah. Oh, Jesus Christ! Don't remind me. I'm about to have PTSD. But
you,
right. Like you're I know you're way more invested than I could ever be, but I'm definitely almost psychotic as a fan when it comes to Michigan.
Ouch.
Anybody who knows me knows that is 100% true. But in that game against Georgia, he had by far the best game of his career when the stakes were the highest against a team where Ohio State was.
Should have won.
They should have won. I mean, what did C.J. Stroud throw? 4 touchdowns, no picks in that game, and then led them on the game-winning field goal drive. And the only reason they didn't win is because their kicker, Noah Ruggles, shanked a field goal in a way that I don't know if I've ever seen a field goal shanked.
The fix was in, baby. The fix was in.
Somebody
paid him off.
No, not to digress, but I couldn't believe it. I'm like, Georgia, they're not. I respect them obviously as a program, but it's like, of course that would happen to Georgia. They were the beneficiaries of one of the worst shank jobs as a kicker in football history at college or pro. But
it's funny you say you're a psychotic fan. Like I'm not a psychotic fan. Like I feel like to be a former Michigan player, I'm super chill. Like I kind of I look at it differently. Like when everybody got in an uproar when the spot. That's all you gotta say is the spot.
JT was short.
Yeah, when JT was short, like everybody, when all Michigan fans, they went nuts, and even some more alums. Me, I was like, what are you doing throwing 2 interceptions on the goal line? Like, why are you even throwing the ball early in the game with Wilton Spade, who had an injured shoulder, on the goal line? Then you do it twice. Why did you let him, and by I mean him is Samuels, why did you let him get 9.5 yards on 3rd and 10? Like, I look at things that way. If Ohio State would have beat Georgia and they would have won the national championship, I would have flipped my lid. I would have flipped my lid because that means all the work that Michigan has done in the last 2 years would have been out the window. It would have been out the window.
Yeah, because logically, we say that Michigan goes into Ohio State, completely basically curb stomps them, takes their manhood, and Ohio State.
Shout out to Seth Rollins.
Ohio State still gets to make the college football playoff because other teams kind of choke their opportunity away, like
TCU.
a USC or a Tennessee, even for example. But Hendon Hooker obviously was hurt. But
it was over.
Yeah, it was, but still, Ohio State kind of backed in, and they actually had a chance to. If they would have won that game, they would have definitely beat TCU. There would have been no chance that TCU had in that game. But to sort of bring it all back, C.J. Stroud played more than well enough to win in the biggest game of his life. It was not even an iota his fault that they didn't win. He led them to over 40 points. He was a Heisman finalist twice. You see what he can do. And he actually produced in college, unlike Will Levis and Anthony Richardson, for example.
Oh, my God. Don't get me started on either one.
Right.
Also, like, you're talking Georgia. Georgia had 17 draft picks last year. Georgia's going to have another 12 to 13 this year. They got the number 1 guy last year, arguably the number 1 guy this year. That's an NFL team. So it's not like you did that on Baylor or you did that on Clemson now. You did that on the NFL team, so that's kind of showing that you can do that on NFL players.
On a team where Jalen Carter was playing and their secondary was led by a guy named Kelly Ringo, who's going to be a first-round draft pick as a corner. So that told me a lot about C.J. Stroud. And my final conclusion is I would not be up in arms if the Detroit Lions drafted C.J. Stroud, although if they traded back to 11 and got Christian Gonzalez, I would not hate that either. Coming up next, would you like to go around the NFL?
Let's do that, man.
Let's do it. But first,
I know a little something about the NFL.
Absolutely. But first, we got to get my main man JB to tell us about the Foaling Warehouse.
Yes, the Foaling Warehouse in Hamtramck is the home of the original football bowling game with 2 ways to play, $12 open play and $120 lane reservation for you and up to 10 people. Plus, they've got the $2 mystery beer machine and, of course, the full bar. Check them out today and also check them out online at foalingwarehouse.com.
It's a great day to get some Centron in your life. Okay. There it is. Centron, here we go. Gotta grab the cranberry. Oh wait, it's 2 for $4. Gotta double up with the classic as well. Centron World, baby. Centron, available at select Kroger's, and if you wanna know how, go to @CentronWorld.com. You get dope like me. You know what? Why wait? Great taste, guaranteed.
You're about to be shell-shocked. The catch of the day is in. Big Boy Seafood Fest is officially back. Join us for some of your favorites like our popcorn shrimp and pike perch platters and our classic fish and chips. This year, we've reeled in some fresh catches like our shrimp Alfredo, shrimp stir fry, and our fish sandwich. And especially, don't forget about our all-you-can-eat Friday night fish fry buffet. Every day is a fish fry at Big Boy.
Woodward Avenue, the first paved road in America. Woodward Sports, the first sports network born in Detroit and made for Detroit.
Now is the best time to join Planet Fitness. The gym that has always been known for being clean is now cleaner than ever. With tons of equipment, a full body workout in the 30-minute circuit, and all memberships include fitness training. The best part about all of this, you get it all just for $10 a month. Yes, $10 a month, you guys. Come on. You can't beat that.
Only $10.
Yes, see?
$10.
Only $10. but not to mention, Planet Fitness has more than 50 convenient locations in the Metro Detroit area. So no matter where you are, there's a Planet Fitness nearby. Join in club today, or you can always check them out online at planetfitness.com.
JB, I was a little late with that one, but that's all right. That's all right. I appreciate you sort of lobbing it up for me, and I just fumbled the dunk. I missed the dunk. I fell over, but that's all right.
It was just a delay in the headphone. That's all it was. A delay in the headphone.
You know what? I should have said that. That could have been my excuse. But anyway, of course, this is Ermanni and Edwards with Maz. I am Flannel Sam, filling in for the great Ryan Ermanni. This is Braylon Edwards. Maz is not here today as well, but we do have JB Smooth running the sound and Fletch on the ones and twos. And now, time for one of my favorite segments, back from even when I was in the sound booth with you guys earlier. Let's go around the NFL.
It's like a full circle moment. I just thought about that.
It is a full circle moment, isn't it?
From the sound booth to now me and you on the same desk together.
Just gonna start crying. But that's all right. You know, it's a beautiful moment. But you know what? The segment is around the NFL, but let's sort of bring it back to college for just a second. Talk about and by our, I mean Michigan's defensive coordinator, Jesse Minter. You actually could say that. I technically can't. But last year, Mike McDonald had a great year coordinating Michigan's defense, and then he left for a job with Baltimore. Jesse Minter comes in and basically puts up the exact same type of numbers with this Michigan defense that had lost Aiden Hutchinson, David Ojabo, and Dax Hill. And obviously he's going to get some NFL consideration. Right. But Michigan didn't play well defensively in the most important game of the year against TCU, so I don't know if that will knock him or not. So
I mean, shoot, a lot of that's going around. I mean, look at Gannon. Look at Gannon and the Eagles, what they did in the Super Bowl. Meanwhile, he's now the head coach of the Arizona Cardinals, so it's a lot of that going around, Sam.
I mean, if you're an NFL team, would you take a look at Jesse Minter if you're in need for a defensive coordinator? No? I
wouldn't. I mean, maybe in the sense that he's young, and everybody right now it's young. The younger you can go, the better, and the longer you would have these guys, or you would set them up to become head coaches. But I just don't know. Like in the way I'm looking at it, let's say I'm a GM or an owner, and we're sitting down and we're talking about who some names will pop up. Well, Jesse Minter. Oh, okay, that's it's the young kid at Michigan, right? He's DC. Well, they had the DC there last year, did the same thing. Now, granted, it was with 2 first-round defensive ends.
Should have been 3 first-round players.
Should have been 3, yeah. So, granted, they did that. But then they did it, and they lose them, and they do it again the next year. So now I got to start looking at how is this possible for you to get better with, not Aiden Hutchinson and David Ojabo. It's like, the landscape in the Big Ten is trash. As an offensive landscape in the Big Ten is not good outside of Ohio State and Michigan. And every once in a while you'll get Maryland to put up 70 points with Tagovailoa and then drop 12 the next week. But the landscape isn't that good. So if I'm assessing, this is the NFL now. Like you're not coaching up against players from Northwestern and Nebraska and whatever. You're coaching up against some studs and players. I don't know if I would bring him in. Like, I don't know if his resume qualifies enough for me to trust you with my NFL team. Like, you're going to be responsible for defense at a time when defense is needed the most, considering how good offense is in the NFL. Looking at it like that, I don't know if I make a Jesse Minter hire.
That's an interesting one because Jesse Minter, obviously, he basically made the defense basically what it was last year, but the Big Ten, you're right. There's not a lot of good quarterback play. There's not a lot of great offenses. And at least with Mike McDonald the year before, I know it's a kind of simplistic way to look at it, Michigan gave up, I believe, 34 to a Georgia team, which is one of the best teams in college football history. There wasn't a whole lot. You can get away with that. But in this past year, giving up 51, 37 of them offensively, not counting the picks.
It's too soon, man.
It's
too soon, Sam.
But that just shows how unacceptable that was. And for the most part, Michigan got kind of manhandled on the line of scrimmage, which was shocking to me.
Especially after what they did against Ohio State, which is what I always say. That's why I always pick Michigan over Ohio State, because Ohio State's not physical. But the other side of it too is think about like this for Jesse Minter. That defense was stout all year long and beyond stout. Like they finished statistically wise. All statistics aren't necessarily true nature of what happened, but they finished statistically in the top 3 in the Big Ten or the top 2 in most categories. They were number 1 overall in the Big Ten. You look at what they were nationally. He didn't blitz all season. Mm-hmm. He uses young players a lot in his secondary. He has a lot of speed, a lot of talent in the secondary. And then he uses 4-down linemen for the most part with those with Mozzie Smith, Mike Morris. He didn't blitz. All of a sudden, in his biggest moment as a defensive coordinator, because he was at Vanderbilt, they don't have too many big moments. So this is his biggest moment, and he decides to blitz all of a sudden, all game long. I swore to God as I was watching, I was sitting in the stands, I swore Don Brown was on there coaching defense. I swore Don Brown was coaching the defense. I said, what have they done with Jesse Minter? Did they leave him? Did they tie him up at the hotel? Like, you can't convince me otherwise, man. Like, for a guy that never blitzed and had that much success, he tried to trick TCU maybe and trick the game, and he blitzed all game long. That would be my biggest question if I'm interviewing Jesse Minter. Let's just get right into it. You start one way, you go 13 games one way, and in game 14, you change your tune. What was that about? That'd be my first question.
I was waiting for the crew of Scooby-Doo to sort of unmask Jesse Minter and have it be Don Brown, and Don Brown say, I would have gotten away with it if it weren't for you meddling kids. Yeah. Because that's that's sort of out of the Don Brown playbook. I mean, you remember Don Brown very well. I remember Don Brown very well. Against lesser talented teams, they would overwhelm them. But always against Ohio State, especially in 2018 and 2019, Ohio State would just throw it all over them and just have aerial parties, basically.
Blitzing is what you do. Is you only blitz in 2 senses. Flannel. One is when your team is just really that good. Your team is that fast. They move that fast. You have safeties like Palomalu. You have blitzers, the linebacker. Like when you have a situation like that, well, shoot, we're going to blitz you because you're not going to be able to get the ball up, and our defensive line is stronger than your O-line. Or when you don't really trust the talent that you have in the secondary, so you try to get to the quarterback first. And they were definitely not the second one. I don't understand it.
No, and I'm with you when Michigan played at Ohio State and held them to 23 points and won that game in convincing fashion. That was when I was 100% convinced that this defense was for real. They were finally tested. Jesse Minter is the man.
Yep.
And then, and also, quiet as kept, they had a little bit of trouble containing Purdue at some points. Charlie Jones lit their secondary up, but that's not the point. Is that
the running back from Illinois?
Yeah, against TCU, that was an unacceptable performance, and I think that if NFL teams see that tape, they might have to. Jesse Minter might have to validate what he did last year, and actually, if and when Michigan gets to the college football playoff, actually have a dominant performance and even a competent performance. If they would have played mediocre, Michigan would have won that game, and I think that's what is so. That game is going to burn in my soul for.
It's 2 games that burn. It's 2 games that burn in my soul, man. Like on that level in recent years, as it relates to Michigan, and it's because they were better than they played, like much better, and somebody played bad. One, that game, obviously, we're talking about the defense. Like that one burns my soul. I just don't understand how you change, who you are. The other one was Michigan against UCLA in the Sweet 16 in basketball.
Oh,
UCLA played Elite Eight.
Elite Eight, yeah.
UCLA, Johnny Juzang, they played the worst game that is like possible. This was the worst game that they have ever played, and somehow they still beat Michigan by 5. Michigan played atrocious. I was mad at everybody that ever went to Michigan. It's like Bubba Watson, man. Juwan Howard rolling over his grave right now, man. It was tough.
I don't believe that Michigan got to 50 in that game. I
They
could
didn't get
be
to
wrong.
48.
Yeah, it was. Yeah, that was another one. That's another one that I just will never get over because
it's like 49 or 45 or something. It was terrible.
I don't know if they would have won the Natty that year because a very good Baylor team ended up winning it. I don't think Michigan could have beat them, but they could have at least gotten to
the Final Four.
Yeah, and Final Fours, their currency in college basketball. You're royalty if you get to Final Fours.
And then also, you know who else pays attention to Final Four trips? Recruits.
Oh, yep.
Recruits.
Oh man, now that I'm all depressed again, let's take a break. I know we were supposed to go around the NFL, but when you have a topic,
this is organic.
When you have a topic related to Michigan with Braylon Edwards, one of the all-time greats, and me, Michigan super fan,
an all-time great flannel wearer, man.
All-time great flannel wearer, was also wearing the Maize and Blue flannel today. I had to extend it. We're gonna finish around the NFL when we get back. We got some great topics that I think you all will enjoy. But first, I got to tell you about Les Stanford, because Les Stanford has expanded into Ferndale, a trusted name for over 50 years. Les Stanford Buick GMC, same great service that customers have come to know. Go check them out on Woodward, just south of 9 Mile. Of course, looking for a Chevy or a Cadillac, Les Stanford and Dearborn, Silverado trucks in stock. Find the brand you want at lesstanford.com. It's lesstanford.com. Find new roads. I should have let you do that, JB. My bad.
Saturdays at 1 p.m. Make sure you're watching WoodwardSports.com for our new show, Chompin' Puck.
He shoots! He scores!
With four-time Stanley Cup champion Darren McCarty and Michael Gentry, Chompin' Puck is taking the Detroit hockey community and giving them a voice. Pros to Joes. You'll get the best Detroit hockey coverage around. Chompin' Puck. Saturdays 1 p.m. on WoodwardSports.com.
At work and at home, we're there with smarter security solutions. Featuring complete automation with customized alerts and more. For over 90 years, we've been the company that's been counted on to protect what matters most, all with personalized service and care. Right now, for a limited time, receive a free video device plus free installation with a new home system. Guardian Alarm. We protect Michigan.
We aren't quite sure if they consume more beer or sports. Either way, the heavyweights are here. Live on Woodward Sports, daily 5 to 7 p.m.
At Alta.
Uptime.
It matters.
Uptime. It matters. Alta Quit has everything you need to get the job done.
You got a bog project?
I was gonna say. Doesn't matter if you have a big project or a bog project coming up. Alta Rent has you covered. Call them today at 844-GO to Alta. Once again, that is 844-GO, the number 2, and Alta.
And welcome back, JB. Of course, doing a great job on the read. I love how we have fun with these live reads because you know what? Why not have fun? I think it'll get the listeners engaged and the sponsors. Hopefully, will get more business, and we are grateful to all of them. Of course, this is Ermanni and Edwards with Maz. I am Flannel Sam filling in for Ryan Ermanni. This is Braylon Edwards. Maz is not here as well, but we have JB.
Does he ever work? Maz is never here.
He's never here.
Never here.
But
No, I'm joking.
You know what? He's back tomorrow, I believe.
I'm joking.
I don't want to speak
can't
too
wait.
soon, but I think he is back tomorrow. And we are, of course, going to be happy to have him back. And Fletch running the TD in the TD booth is doing a great job as always. And you know what? Let's finish this around the NFL because we've got a lot of great NFL topics that I want to get to.
Take your time. Let's get into it.
All right. Speaking of running backs and great running backs who had great seasons in their contract year, how about Saquon Barkley? Saquon Barkley is likely to hit free agency. There is still a gap in negotiations between the Giants and Barkley. The Giants don't want to pay him over $12.5 million, and they don't want to franchise him. So I'll first start off. If you're a team in free agency that needs a running back, if Saquon Barkley were to get there, would you want him to sign him, even if you have to pay him $12.5 a year?
No, this is not 1995.
That's true. This
is not 2002. I am not looking for Curtis Martin in '99 with the New York Jets. Saquon had an amazing year, especially considering the injuries he's been coming off of for about the last 2 years or the last 18 months. Well, now 2+ years. Had an amazing season. Glad he had that season. He's great. He's a kid. I'm 40 now. I'm calling everybody kid. He's a great kid. Nah, but he's a great kid. He's a great player. Great. By the way, that picture, I've always wanted one of those pictures. Like when you got me, like like hurling over the defender, like MJ. Like I had it, but it wasn't captured. Nah, not at the price of 12.5, because you just got to look at what's happening to running backs in the last, you can go back 15 years, but especially in the last 8 years, running backs aren't lasting. Like you look at Todd Gurley. Todd Gurley was the best thing cooking in the NFL for the better part of 4.5 years. He got paid majorly, and it just fell apart. It fell apart before the Super Bowl, if we're being honest.
Yeah.
Because remember, who was
C.J. Anderson?
C.J. Anderson. So it fell apart before him for the Super Bowl. I mean, you look at Devontae Freeman. Devontae Freeman got paid the biggest running back contract at the time for the Atlanta Falcons. The year he got paid, just disappeared. And then you see him going to the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, and then you don't hear from him again. You're just look at Christian McCaffrey. Luckily, he responded this year, much like Saquon Barkley. But now they've both been injured majorly. Those carries take a toll, especially when you're doing like gadget tricks, like CMC, and Saquon Barkley doing other things. So, 12.5, and then we missed the biggest one. You know, as the biggest cap hit this year at the running back position, Ezekiel Elliott getting $15 million, and he ain't been over 1,000 yards.
No, yeah.
And I use aim for effect in the words of Ryan Ermanni. So, as much as I love Saquon Barkley, and much as he can do for your franchise, he can catch the ball out of the backfield. Not necessarily afraid to block. He's not the best blocker, but he's not afraid to block. And he can run. He'll get you first downs. I mean, you watch that horrible Commanders game that with the penalty. Yep. Just watch that whole last drive. I mean, whether they were cheating or not, he commanded that drive. Cost me my parlay, by the way, but. I just wouldn't, because the way the running back is going, there's going to be somebody else that's coming up. I mean, Jamal Williams had 1,000 yards and 17 touchdowns, and he was undrafted. So I think I'm not paying nobody 12.5.
Yeah, especially coming into this year. It's a very, very deep running back class, and it's unfortunately it's the position that it is. The running back position has been devalued, and Saquon Barkley has had an injury history. He had a torn ACL 1 year, missed basically the whole season, and his first 2,000-yard seasons, the Giants weren't any good. So you can't really elevate a bad team just as a running back. The first time they actually won anything with him having a good year was last year, and even then, they barely made the playoffs and did win a playoff game to their credit. But I agree with you. I would not pay Saquon Barkley that kind of money. What say you, JB?
Dude, 12.5. It's a little steep for me. I don't know if I can do that. I know there's going to be some team out there that will end up paying him that 12.5, but
I got a Fago and a 4-car contract for you, baby. That's what we talking about.
Like that's all I got for you.
That's what I got to spend.
That's all I got for you. I know there's going to be some team out there that's going to end up paying him that 12.5 that he really wants, but honestly, I wouldn't do it. I think he might end up settling maybe like 10.
100%. He'll probably end up having to settle for. He'll get probably a little bit more because 10.1 is a franchise, so he's probably looking to settle somewhere in between 10.8 and like 11, 10.8, which is still too much for me. I look at it like this in terms of something you just said. It makes sense. The best running back in the NFL, if I'm being honest, is not Saquon Barkley. It's not Derrick Henry. It's not Christian McCaffrey. The best running back in the NFL is about 2.5 hours due south, and that's Nick Chubb. Nick Chubb's the best running back in terms of constant production. Nick's in there. In terms of constant production, Nick is in there, correct? What Cleveland looked like last year? Yeah. What Cleveland looked like the year before that? Like that's showing you that the best running back in the NFL, or the number 3 running back, if you want to call him that. Look at Dalvin Cook. Here's another one. Mm-hmm. Dalvin Cook's drafted 2017. I wanted him here, by the way. That was the beginning of the end with Contrition, but they drafted with Gerard Davis instead. But I wanted him here. He has a great first 6 games, gets hurt, comes back, has a great year 2, great year 3, good year 4. Year 5, and all of a sudden he's no longer the same. It's falling by the wayside. So when you're thinking about running backs, you gotta think of how fast it stops. 12.5, get out of here.
There's only so many hits you can take, unfortunately, and a job of a running back is to kind of get pounded every game. Unfortunately, that's just the nature of the position. And while we pause, right? Yes,
that was Saquon complaining.
Yes, and now since Braylon Edwards is here, I want to talk about his former head coach, and that is Rex Ryan.
Hey, sexy Rex.
Yeah, sexy Rex. So, the last time he coached was 2016. He was the Buffalo Bills head coach, which I forgot. And there's some rumors that the Denver Broncos are interested in maybe bringing in Rex Ryan as their defensive coordinator to pair with Sean Payton, their offensive coordinator. Both proven guys, both guys who are proven as head coaches and coordinators, which is great. And the Broncos obviously have some talent on the defense, especially with their corner Patrick Surtain. You know Rex Ryan more than anybody here by a magnitude of 10, since he was your head football coach when you were with the Jets.
Yeah.
Has the game passed him by, or would Rex Ryan work with the Denver Broncos as the defensive coordinator?
Some guys, they're just that good where it won't. Now, I'll give you an example. You look at where his pedigree is. He's Buddy Ryan's son.
Yeah.
Like, his brother is Rob Ryan, another great defensive mind. Like, you look at when he first really started cutting his teeth. You know, you're talking about in the 80s. You know, in the 90s. But then you talk about the Baltimore Ravens. You're talking about that's when he really put his stamp on something. The Baltimore Ravens defense was electric. We saw the Super Bowl year after that. We saw what they were for the years after that. I mean, the Baltimore Ravens, the Steelers, and the Patriots, like, that's all you ever heard about in the AFC. Mm-hmm. And trust me, I was in the AFC North, so I know all about it. He changed from the 90s, and he changed into the 2000s, and then I watched their defense change. I watched their schematics and schemes change a little bit while keeping the integrity of the defensive line and a good safety. Then you watch what he did with Buffalo. That defense was good with DeMario Williams. Yeah. He had a resurgence at defense. So I think he can adapt. I mean, you're talking about Rex Ryan, one of the best defensive minds of the past 20 years, 30 years maybe. And then you're talking about Sean Payton, one of the best offensive minds, putting those guys in the same room. One of the reasons why we like to have, you know, the older associate coaches floating around facilities now, like we're talking about with Jim Caldwell down there in Carolina. Yeah. Well, that's essentially the same thing, but you got Rex Ryan for Sean Payton. Now you got these guys who have both been head coaches, both respect, bouncing ideas off each other, kind of knowing how to take different approaches. And also, Sean's not necessarily the most outgoing player. Sure. He's locked in when he's there. You know what I'm saying? That's not Rex. Rex can be like the open, the fun guy, etc. So I think it would be a great situation. I think he definitely will get that thing going. And here's the last thing I would say: it's not a lot to figure out with that defense. That defense already is damn good.
It is.
They're already only giving up 20 points a game. They already have Simmons. They already have Patrick Surtain. They already have still a great defense line. So you're coming to a situation where you've seen proven formula as Rex Ryan. You can tweak that. I think it's a match made in heaven.
It's funny because if they have Sean Payton as their offensive coordinator, I'm talking about the Denver Broncos, and Rex Ryan as their defensive coordinator, you have two guys who at one point and maybe still have been considered geniuses at their side of the ball. Wow. Sean Payton obviously helped Drew Brees into becoming a Hall of Fame quarterback, won a Super Bowl with them, and Rex Ryan, especially with the Ravens and your Jets, considered a defensive genius. And if they can both put it together, if Sean Payton can kind of fix Russell Wilson and Rex Ryan can coordinate an already very talented defense.
At the end of the day, I look at it like this. This is the Denver Broncos we're talking about. When the Denver Broncos won that Super Bowl 50, Von Miller, Super Bowl MVP, look at their coaching staff. Like, Jack Del Rio was a defensive coordinator who had been an NFL head coach for years up on top of years. John Fox was an offensive coordinator, I believe, and he was the head coach. And I can't remember who the head coach was. Maybe it was John Fox. But they had, between their offensive coordinator, their defensive coordinator, and their head coach, they had about 20 years of experience as head coaches. Mm-hmm. And they won a Super Bowl. So I'm saying we've seen it happen in Denver before.
Yeah, that was the last probably dominant defense in the NFL. And before we go to break, I want to get to one more because this involves the team that just represented the NFC in the Super Bowl, the Philadelphia Eagles. They might have some decisions to make on some of these free agents. I mean, look at those names right there. I mean, Miles Sanders, Jason Kelce, Javon Hargrave, Brandon Graham, James Bradbury, C.J. Gardner-Johnson, Boston Scott, Isaac Samalo, Fletcher Cox, and T.J. Edwards. And when I look at this list,
you have a better time of telling me who's not a free agent.
It's filled with guys who had career years on contract seasons. Miles Sanders had his first 1,000-yard season ever. Jason Kelce is still at the age of 36, the best center in the NFL, and is trending towards being one of the all-time great centers. Javon Hargrave had his first double-digit sack season ever. Brandon Graham had a double-digit sack season. C.J. Gardner-Johnson had more interceptions this year than in his previous 3 years combined. And obviously James Bradbury, he was a guy that I feel he kind of had seemed to fall off a little bit with the Giants and was sort of resurrected with the Eagles. I mean, maybe a lot of that was being part of the Giants organization, but still. So are there any names on this list that you think are just, you got to keep them? You cannot let this person go.
C.J. Gardner-Johnson, Hargrave, Boston Scott. Because I believe Miles Sanders is going. It's another one. He's going to want to get paid. And I'm like, I don't need to pay you. I got Boston Scott and Gainwell.
Yeah.
So Miles Sanders is a really good player. So somebody's going to pay him. He's going to be an efficient player somewhere. But if I'm the Eagles, I'm like, I have Jalen Hurts as my running back. I have C.J. Gardner-Johnson as my running back. And I have Boston Scott and I have Gainwell.
Yeah.
So you can do it without Miles Sanders. Kelsey, it's up to him. But maybe a restructure situation. I'm sure he'll be good with that. Hargrave, I pay. Brandon Graham's an OG. He's one of those guys you have him on the team. Once again, he's a Michigan guy, so yes, keep him. Bradbury, I can get rid of. I can do without. I think, like you said, he got exposed. I think he had a resurgence, but I think towards the end he started getting exposed a little bit. I think there was you can let him go. C.J. Gardner-Johnson, you got to have. Boston Scott, you got to have. Isaac Samad, you got to have, because the offensive line, they were good last year and they're starting to get a little bit older. Fletcher Cox is older now. Fletcher, let's call it real. Fletcher's a damn good player. He's been one of, if not the best defensive tackle, not named Aaron Donald, in that, back and forth, you could say. He's older, plus he wore that blouse to the Super Bowl. So I'm just saying, this might be the perfect time to remove. But those are the players that I think.
I mean, both things can be true. Fletcher Cox is probably going to have a gold jacket in Canton someday, but he's definitely not what he used to be. The bottom line is that the Eagles
could be a whole different team next year.
Their window, it might be closing. I mean,
don't forget their draft capital.
Yes,
they still got two first round picks as of now, I believe, because they were trying to bank on Jalen Hurts.
It's hard to get back. So the Philadelphia Eagles, I think they could look back on this past season as a major missed opportunity. But hey, in the NFC, which has been weak, you don't know how next year's going to go. The Philadelphia Eagles, no matter what, will definitely be among the favorites in the NFC as a chance to get back. So they'll be fine, but they're going to have to make some decisions. One decision that you should always make is when you need to get your hair cut, go to Lady Jane's, like myself, as I do from time to time. People make fun of my haircuts, but I don't care because I know I look good. Come to Lady Jane's for an award-winning experience and register for a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity to win a down payment for your dream home, up to $200,000. Lady Jane's open 7 days a week. Walk in anytime. It's wicked awesome.
Wicked awesome.
Hi, I'm Dr. Jason Olafson, DC, the founder of the Custom Health Centers, and we've helped thousands of people learn how easy it is to lose weight and keep it off with our customized weight loss and body contouring programs.
With Custom Health, you don't feel hungry, you eat well. My name is Simeon Timbuk, and I lost 71 pounds on the program.
Call us at 844-789-THIN or visit CustomHealthCenters.com for a free consultation and get started for as little as $5 a day.
We don't like to brag that we are the toughest sports network in Detroit, but we do have a guy named Darren McCarty on our side.
Lemieux and McCarty, who've had a good knockdown drag up. There they go, right on the whistle. They were talking to one another.
Woodward Sports.
And welcome back to Ermanni and Edwards with Maz. It's been fun hosting the show for the first time with Braylon Edwards. We've had a blast, of course.
Hey, look, man, I know I turned 40. You don't have to call me Braylon Edwards, man. Just call me Braylon, man. I'm 40, okay? I'm not 70.
You know, it's funny, to let you behind the curtain. Obviously, when we're just hanging out as friends, you're Braylon. But when I'm introducing you, I mean, you're Braylon Edwards. You're a big name in the state of Michigan, and obviously a great NFL player, an All-Pro, and one of Lincecum in college. Here I go again.
I appreciate that, man. Hey, keep it going, okay? It sounded good. No, I'm joking.
Here I go again. But, of course, I am not Ryan Ermanni. I am Flannel Sam. This is Braylon Edwards. Tom Mazaway is not here either. He will be back tomorrow. But we got JV Smooth, fortunately, in the sound booth. And we got Fletch on the ones and twos in the technical director booth. All right, so the 33rd, we heard from them today when it comes to the draft, but they also graded each NFL team from this past season. And yes, here we go. And if you look at them, there's some interesting ones. The A's, you've got the Eagles, the 49ers, the Giants, and then you have the Lions at an A- tied with the Seahawks. Do you think that the Lions being an A-, do you think that they are rated appropriately? Did they have an A- level season?
You know what? You know what's interesting about that is trying to figure out everything that goes into the grade.
Yeah.
And the reason why is because, I mean, when I look at the Lions' defense and how the defense played last year and them being 1-6 at one point, and then looking at 8-2, I'm like, 1-6 and 8-2 to me can't make A-. Like almost like I'm like 1-6 and 8-2. But then at the same time, if we're adding in how the draft picks played that were drafted last year, if you're adding in how did you do from year one of Dan Campbell and Brad Holmes' administration to year two, how did you finish? If you're looking at the momentum, and if you're looking at certain players, like we don't know what we're going to do with Jared Goff. Like, this is his last leg. What is he going to be? He outplayed your expectations on that. If you looked at your offensive line and how good they played and how stout they were, if you look at DeAndre Swift, I don't think that was a success for the 2022 season. So then the defensive side of the ball, Aiden Hutchinson, that was a success. That was a successful pick. You were very excited about it in training camp. You were excited about it on draft day, and you were excited about it at the end of the season. So that was good. I mean, you got James. You got some sneaky ones in there.
James Houston.
Yeah, you got some sneaky ones, and James Houston that played well. Kirby Joseph is a 3rd-round pick. So if we're dumping everything into the pot, where is the draft capital this year? Where is the money? What moves have you made? I think it could be an A- season. I'm cool with A- season.
It's very, very hard to triple your win total from a previous year. It also speaks to how bad they were in 2021, but to their credit, they won 9 games this past year. They had a winning season. They were very, very close to making the playoffs. Unfortunately, the Rams couldn't help, and obviously the Lions were their own worst enemies in their game against the Seahawks, for example, and then at Carolina.
And they got coaches getting interviewed for jobs, too.
Yes.
And you look at that, too. Like, you add all that gumbo into the pot. Mm-hmm. I can see. I'm cool with the B+ or A-. Like, add all that gumbo.
The one thing about this that it's a little bit of a nitpick, but I think that the Seahawks need to be graded higher than the Lions on this one because they actually made the playoffs. And for people who don't remember, because it seems like a lifetime ago, the Seahawks were predicted to do absolutely nothing. I mean, having Geno Smith as their starting cornerback was kind of a punchline and a joke because he had been a bust in his previous life with the Jets. I don't think he'd been a starting quarterback since 2014. Had been a journeyman backup, and then this year has a Pro Bowl level season. So
Seattle was B+.
Seattle is A-.
Oh, okay.
Yes.
Okay, I see the question now. My apologies, Sam. Then they're a B+.
Okay,
the Lions. Then they're a B+.
Okay.
Because I agree with your logic about the Seahawks. Okay, yeah. And that if the Seattle Seahawks, who beat the Lions and made the playoffs, and yes, I know Detroit fans want to come with the referees cheated them against the Rams and it shouldn't have, but it still did. So yeah, I agree with your logic. You can't be ranked above the Seahawks, who beat you and made the playoffs. So yeah, you're absolutely. And they lost Russell Wilson.
Yeah.
And they lost Russell Wilson. I agree.
Yeah, and the Lions, I don't like to bring up the negative moments from the season, but the bottom line is the Lions scored 45 points in a game and lost. That is unacceptable to those said Seahawks, but the Lions obviously had a successful season. I don't want to use this time to take away from them. I want to go to the AFC really quick, if you don't mind, Fletch. There is one ranking that I don't necessarily agree with, and I'm curious to get your take on it.
Oh, I already know what it is.
You do? I'm kind of curious because I'm going to go with the Buffalo Bills being a B+. And say what you want about what they did in the regular season. They pretty much delivered on everything that they were supposed to do. But coming into the season, they were everybody's Super Bowl favorite. Josh Allen was everybody's Super Bowl MVP. And in the NFL divisional round, in a home game in Buffalo in the snow, Josh Allen led that team to 10 points in a divisional round loss. And I think that they need to get dinged a little bit for that. What say you, Braylon?
Hold on. Did the Jets get a C+?
I mean, hey, you used to be a member of that organization.
Did the Jets only get a C+? After having that dominant defense?
Yeah, the only reason.
After what Sauce Gardner did? If you
Garrett Wilson.
And what Garrett Wilson did, what Breece Hall was going to do, what they still were able to do after Breece Hall showed you what he was going to do and then he get injured. Man, that's a bum score. I think they could have been a B-.
Well, they had D- level quarterback play, and that's the problem.
Well, take the quarterback.
Well, right. Yeah, no, that's the thing. That's sort of the plight of the New York Jets. They whiffed on Zach Wilson. If Zach Wilson would have been what he was supposed to be, the New York Jets would have no doubt made the playoffs, and maybe with a great quarterback, they could have even challenged the Buffalo Bills for the division. But the reality is that they had the concoction of Mike White, Zach Wilson, and Joe Flacco. I mean, that's very sad.
They had all those bum quarterbacks, and they still almost beat the Detroit Lions at the end of the game. They had a chance to kick a field goal. Let's think about it that way. All right, answering your question, they definitely got to get dinged, and this is why they got to get dinged. We're giving the Lions and the Seahawks extra points for supposed to being sorry or being average or figuring out and hoping their thing came together. So that means you have to deduct points from somebody that going into the season, everybody picked the Buffalo Bills to win the Super Bowl. Everybody picked Josh Allen to be MVP. That didn't happen. And not only did it not happen, there were question marks about the whole squad the whole year. Only person that there were no question marks about was Stephon Diggs. Outside of Stephon Diggs, it was, what's going on with Josh Allen? It seems that Brian Daboll has left. He's not the same quarterback. He's now turning the ball over in the fourth quarter. He's now not closing the deal on games. Then he gets injured. His UCL on his elbow isn't allowing him to be this guy. On the defensive side, Von Miller gets hurt. Now the defense can't get to the quarterback. Now they're not the same. The interior offensive line, they don't block for Josh Allen. What the hell is Sean McDermott? Ken Dorsey. What the hell is Ken Dorsey doing at offensive coordinator? I don't understand what's going on. They don't have an identity. No. Like, how are you that good? And as I'm watching the playoffs, I'm still trying to figure out what your identity was. I would have gave them a C.
Ooh, I don't know. Well, okay, that's to me that's a little bit harsh, but I see your logic because I think people do forget how highly touted and favored.
Everybody favored them to win the Super Bowl and favored Josh Allen to be MVP, probably Super Bowl MVP if they would have got there. So the fact that they didn't just fall short, they got embarrassed.
They did.
They got embarrassed at home. Think about this, Sam. They got embarrassed at home in week 2 of the playoffs. In week 1, They beat a Miami Dolphins team with Skylar Thompson that outplayed them 2 back-to-back games in Buffalo. C.
Oh, you know what? When you put it like that, I can't necessarily disagree. I would say maybe B- because they still went 13-3 in the regular season. Josh Allen still played well. And you know what? Braylon Edwards' birthday celebration is here.
With the cake coming in. Oh, man.
Happy birthday. Look at that thing, Braylon.
Hey, you got the right
Happy birthday to you.
Appreciate you all, man. Thank you. Thank you so much. You all might want to come up here now to let everybody know who's in the studio. Appreciate it, man. You spelled my name wrong. I'm joking. I'm joking. Who's you got? What's up, brother? How you feeling, man? Appreciate that, man. I'm 40 like you now, man. I'm 40 like you now. Exactly. Everybody signed it too, man. This is fire. You must really be exhausted. Oh, I forgot about those. It's gonna be a melted cake. There we go. Appreciate you guys. This is one of the perks working at Woodward Sports, man. We're family, much like our family in the chat right now. So I appreciate you guys, much like I appreciate you guys as well. Pop the champagne, man. Pop the champagne.
Oh yes.
Don't spread everywhere. In fact, we might want to pop them. Go ahead. You pop them. Ahead.
I don't want to pop that hit the camera.
All right.
There's one.
You want to pop this one?
Sure, why not?
Yeah, pop your own. At least put
Pop. All right, put this one here. Pop this one. There we go.
Hey.
There you go.
That's good. I've done it too much. I've done it too much to my mom's. Sure, why not? A champagne glass. We'll get one on the air for the folks, and then go to commercial or stay on. What time is the show over?
No, we got time. We got one more break. But hey.
Cheers. Appreciate you guys, man. Appreciate that.
Can you zoom in on the cake?
Fletch is like, look, bro. Y'all doing the most. Appreciate you guys. Hey, Spence. Thanks, Gabby. Noah, Brian, Spence, Justin. Hey. Appreciate you guys, man. Appreciate you guys.
All right, there we go.
There we go.
This is a courtesy of your co-host who is not here today.
And Ryan.
Yes, if you guys
Shouts
didn't hear
out to
that,
Ryan
that was,
Ermanni.
courtesy of Ryan Ermanni. He set this all up. He obviously does a great job here. It was an honor to fill in for him. And to be
He
with
should be
Braylon.
calling. That's what he should have called. I should tell him to call in.
Yeah.
This is, everybody says me and Ryan, we great chemistry. We all we do is agree with each other. Well, it's kind of hard not to when you got a brother that does stuff like this. So, Ryan, love you, man. This last year and a half has been a great ride, brother, and I can't wait to many, many more.
Just for the record, I've seen you and Ryan go at it before.
Oh,
It's
we go
very
at it now.
entertaining.
Yeah. I feel like in the beginning we were like, hey, I want to make him feel good, so that when I get him, you know what I'm saying now. But great times, man. Great times at WSN.
Yes, and there's no real way to transition from Braylon's birthday now to JB telling us about Chili Peppers Tanning.
Yes, Chili Peppers Tanning is where you'll find the cleanest salons in the D. No, it is not. With spotless, sanitized rooms and trained, certified tanning professionals. Join the Pepper Club today for all the best deals. They'll beat all competitors by $5.
$5?
Yes, $5. And don't forget to pick up Australian Gold, Designer Skin, Caltin, and Swedish Beauty lotions as well. 27 locations and more coming soon. Chili Peppers Tanning is your vitamin D headquarters.
I
The
love
hottest
you.
buzz, the hottest deal, the darkest tans is Chili Peppers Tanning.
Chili Peppers Tanning.
Introducing the Planet Fitness Guide to getting that post-workout glow. Step 1. What's your why? More epic energy? Better sleep? Blow off steam? Step 2. Join Planet Fitness for just $10 a month and get moving in our clean and spacious clubs. Step 3. Bask in that post-workout glow. Join Planet Fitness today for just $10 a month.
Join today at any of the 50-plus Detroit area locations.
Get a shot up. This is for the win. All of Detroit's sports teams live on Woodward. All of Detroit's sports coverage lives on Woodward Sports. Driving the best in Detroit sports coverage.
I'm going to talk about Centron. This isn't Centron, but Centron is amazing. Centron is a world aspirational lifestyle beverage brand with a line of sparkling flavor energy beverages and premium bottled water. Centron is fashionable, like your boy, functional, like your boy, and fun, like your boy. Simply put, you got to get down with Centron.
Oh, man. Thank you all for being a part of Braylon Edwards' birthday celebration at Woodward Sports and on woodwardsports.com. And, of course, thanks to everyone from the back who came in to give this wonderful cake and to even let me have some of the champagne.
Hey,
Last time I had champagne on air was the day after the Monday after the Michigan-Ohio State game where I was on the heavyweight. So that was a very fun time. But Braylon Edwards' birthday is another time to partake in this. So being that it's your birthday, what's on the docket for tonight and this weekend, and just what is gonna make Braylon Edwards happy on his birthday?
To not get drunk on the show, but no, I'm joking. It's just champagne. Wink, wink. I just want to spend time with family. I think when I was younger, and this isn't bragging, this is just the truth. Being in the NFL, it afforded me the financial stability to do elaborate stuff. So I had parties in Vegas, Miami, I'm talking Live, Tris, New York. Like, I've done a lot of fun stuff. As you get older, you just want to be with the ones you love, be with family. I'm gonna go somewhere in maybe April. I'll probably go somewhere. I'll wait till April, maybe end of March, something like that, when I'm really, really need to get out of here. But right now, spend some time with family, friends. Keep this thing of Woodward Sports rolling. Like, I think I think all shows have done a really good job starting this year, and I feel like me, Ryan, and Maz, JB, and Fletch, I feel like we're in a really good groove right now, and I kind of don't want to lose that groove, man. So I'm kick it with the fam, get some food a couple times this week. I'm gonna take advantage of people taking me out. That's what I'm gonna do. All right, people always hit me up, say, "Hey, man, I'm gonna take you get a drink or take you get a couple meals." I figure if I can get about 40 of those on the record and just put them down, that's 40 free meals and 40 drinks, man. So I'm saying I can just use them throughout this next 2-3 month period. So just hanging out with friends and family, man.
No, that sounds like a perfect birthday to me. It sounds like great. And I'm curious, we'll have to talk about off air some of the old NFL day Braylon Edwards birthday party stories. I'd love to have been part of that. A lot of mayhem.
Story time with Braylon.
So, hey, we need to incorporate that if you're down. But we'll see. And yeah, I'm glad you mentioned about what you guys are doing at Ermanni and Edwards with Matt. Maz on a regular basis. I'm not usually here. Usually Ryan Ermanni's in this seat, but I used to be in the sound booth. And give credit to JB. JB came in and it was like the smoothest transition. He was a weekend. He was already better than me at the sound. So I gotta give my man credit. It's a pressure cooker in there.
I appreciate that. Thank you.
But it is. I think another thing I want to say before I forget is there's been moving parts since we started. Yeah. Our show. It used to be Bottom Line. It's now Ermanni and Edwards with Matt. Same people, but in those 3 rows, we had 3 different people in the sound booth. We've had 2 people in the TD booth. Like, this thing has been ever evolving and ever progressing. I think I'm pretty much sure I know that the team that we have right now, like, this is what it was supposed to get to. Like, this is how you get better. But we even can be better. So, but I appreciate the fans out there too. I would be remiss if I didn't say it again. I've seen birthday messages on Twitter. I've seen them on Instagram. I've seen them in the comment section through text. So, really do appreciate you guys, man. Love it. Love it.
Well, it was great working with you today, Braylon, and for everyone here, JB, Flesh. It was I had a ton of fun today, and I know I ruffled some feathers with the Penny Sewell, Micah Feathers thing. But you know what? That's all right because it's all love, and I still love every single one of you in the chat. Braylon, on your 40th birthday, how about you get us out of here and on to whatever your Mardi Gras celebrations are for the rest of you and for Braylon Edwards' birthday celebration.
So here's a funny card that Matt in the back gave me. Matt just started working here, but I've known Matt since he was younger. So it's a funny card. I'm going to read it to you. It's a bazooka card from my rookie year. It tells you how old I am. Bazooka still had cards. It's an article, Detroit. It's for Cleveland, but this is after I won the Biletnikoff Award. Fred Biletnikoff said, "What's new in sports?" This guy reading the paper with his boy. He said, "Ed won the Fred." He said, "What's that even mean?" NFL cred. It's because my name is Edwards and Fred Biletnikoff. So I thought it was just kind of quirky. But these are the kind of things that you laugh at when you're 40. But I appreciate everybody out there, man. This has been a great show. This has been a great time. It's going to be even more fun. Hey, 40 is just the start. This is just the start. We got a long ways to go. My man JB out of Morrissey, I see you over there. Fletch, see you. And Flannel Sam, full circle moment on the desk with my guy, man. Appreciate you as well. And to the fans out there at WSN Network, we coming, baby. We coming. See you later.
Make sure you download the Woodward Sports app in the App Store and the Google Play Store today. Take Woodward Sports with you wherever you go and listen live on your phone or mobile device.